Musician Metaphysics, Pat Recob, take 22.
All right, man.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing wonderful.
Yeah.
Just so you know, when we do these type of interviews, there's 9 of us in here.
9 of you? Wow,
And
that's how you
sometimes
get
they
the
all
hair to
come out-
stand straight
sometimes
up.
they all come out
Yeah.
at different points.
All right, good, man.
Hey.
Well, dude, I started microdosing. Well, really, I had a summer 2 summers ago that I was doing a lot of mushrooms. I mean, a lot. And I was still drinking then too, and it was kind of what led me into quit drinking. Was this trip that I had, and I wrote down in my notes. I ate 12 grams of mushrooms today. You know, and I thought I'd go back to it the next day and there'd be an epiphany of stuff. That was all it said. So, but I mean, through all that, it got me to quit drinking. It got me to check myself into rehab. And
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and then as far as antidepressants go, I mean, it's already been proven they don't work. I mean, the SRIs are not, it's for 20 years, 25 years, they did this study and there's no effect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All it does is make you numb. Like, I mean, when I was in the military, or coming out of the military, fistful of antidepressants, antipsychotics, you know, you can't feel shit.
The last couple of years for me has been pretty difficult as far as everybody knows me, or at least I would hope that they know me as a upbeat, positive person. I am. But just like everybody else, I have my anxieties and sometimes massive anxieties. And over the course of the last couple of years, really since COVID, I just kind of had to realize and figure out a whole bunch of things as far as inward.
Well, what were those things,
And,
Pat?
well, it's just one of
If
those
you want to share, you don't have
well,
to share.
Of course. Anxiety. I tried a number of different things, but the one thing that really works well for me is meditation. I do meditation a lot, and
what kind? Like, is it a guided meditation or do you do your own?
My own. It's since we're metaphysics, we're going to be talking about all kinds of different metaphysical things. I've had several gifts that were given to me when I was born into this incarnation, and I'm not going to say having foresight and having empathy and having universal intuition. Sometimes it can be a blessing, but most of the time it's a curse.
I know what you mean.
Because it's just one of those things that I feel a little more sensitive than most people. There are many times that I wish I could just tell somebody to go, you know, screw off or something.
You can cuss on this, Pat. You can say fuck you.
I do tend to have it.
I know that's not you.
I do tend to have a potty mouth, man. I mean, the F word's my favorite word.
Hey, dude.
Sometimes it'll slip out.
Yeah,
you
fuck,
know,
dude.
But
I'm
as
military,
we're getting
so
acclimated, it's just one of those things that, you know, I on occasion I am known to hit the weed, you know, but that really didn't. That helps, but in some cases, I've always been very private about it. You'll never see me out in public that way, and it's just more.
Even when I gave you those brownies?
Say what now? Well, our little brownie,
we could jump to
our
that
brownie
later.
Story will come a little bit later,
Okay.
And but no, it's just one of those things that when I hit the weed, sometimes it's that case where, you know, I'm doing it to try, you know, I'm not going to play the medical card, but it's more of an inner calming more than anything. But more times than not, I find myself taking too big of a drag, and I'm not one that, you know, and even back in my younger days when I used to be pretty frequent with that, it was I just always find myself in a spot of paranoia. So it really doesn't help me in that situation.
Well, you may be smoking too much sativa too.
But exactly.
Yeah.
Well, but the thing is, I've always pretty much just been like a one-hit dude. So it's not like, you you know, as much as I love them, it's not like Cheech and Chong where you got smoke coming out of the car or
Sure,
anything like
sure.
that.
Yeah.
And ironic as it is with Cheech and Chong, I have tried some of their CBD in recent times, and that is just
Sure, it's great.
and the thing is like I said, I'll never ever. I always play straight. It doesn't. I don't drink when I play. Very rarely. If you ever see a drink in my hand, number one, there's
I've
a
never
reason.
seen you
There's a
play with a
celebration,
drink. Yeah.
and number two, I've just found that with that kind of stuff,
It's
it's a
not
problem.
professional,
Well,
yeah.
you know,
It can.
it has been a
Yeah,
problem in the
sure.
past,
Yeah.
to where, especially being a band leader, when you got guys that are blasted out of their minds and they can't handle it,
This is a great.
you know, and that tends to be. We've all had those situations. I myself was a period of time, way back. I'd say back in the '90s, and when I had the opportunity to go on the road playing music full time,
Who are
I
you
did.
playing with? Who are you playing with?
We'll get into that very shortly. But the thing is what I had found.
Hey, can I hit a timeout real fast?
Sure.
So we're gonna have these things. Everybody gets a flexure. All right. If we're in the middle of a discussion and it pops something into you, you can give me a flexure. It's like
Okay.
Fletcher lecture.
All right. All right. Well, cool. All right.
Everybody gets 3.
All right. All right. Well, cool. Okay. So I'd gone on the road with a guy named Gary Primich
Okay.
from Austin, Texas. See, that was my first real opportunity at a national act. And he already at that
What
time,
kind of
Gary,
music was
blues,
he? Blues. Cool.
and primarily all of my music has been blues and old school, traditional. And Gary already in the 1990s, very early in his career, had already acquired the reputation of being one of the very best. And I was very
Did he play
grateful.
Funk 49?
As a matter of fact, we did not. However,
Little inside joke here.
However, Funk 49, ladies and gentlemen, is what connected Fletcher and I together in
Yes,
the
it
beginning.
is.
And that was what got us to laugh at each other.
Yeah.
And so, but the thing is I had found that imbibing in alcohol, I have always been in a situation where I could take it or leave it. And it seems like I enjoy a good beer. I enjoy a good glass of wine. I do enjoy a big old glass of brown Jameson and some brown liquor. I enjoy that, but it all has its time and it all has its place. And the stage for me has never been that. And when I was on the road with Gary, what that had taught me, and he was very, he was very quick to definitely tell me what he wanted, and we recognized real early that messed up my timing.
Because you were focused on it.
I was not. I was just. Well, I was just.
Trying not to fuck up.
Yeah. Well, between that and the effects that I was having from
Drink.
whatever was in my system at that time, you know, I grew up very hyperactive. I grew up extremely ADD and never did coke, never did any kind of, you know, never did heroin.
Yeah, that's
even
one
though,
drug I never
you know,
did.
any of that stuff, because those are, I was always afraid. You know, I've always had a lifelong history of hypertension. I was just always afraid that I'd do something that caused my heart to race. I want to slow it down as opposed to speed it up.
That's what meditation's for. Right?
Exactly. And so the inner meditation has helped me to become one with the universe. It's helped me to you know, and it's helped me. And there is just, I'm so looking forward to our conversations, because some of the back comments and questions that we've had before I've come on, and especially in watching the first show with Cliff, there's a lot of things that I can see how it's all going to fall into play for you with Jam Killer and the podcasts and the video casts.
See exactly. My arms?
To where
you see that?
Yeah, to where we can talk about these things, near death experiences.
Yeah.
Yes, I too had one. We're going to talk about that, and where I view the cosmos, the universe, versus what we've been talking about with religion.
Sure.
Because I know you have a lot of questions.
Oh man, well,
and I am nowhere near what I would call an authority, but I have experienced things and I have seen things.
Yes, and I think that is the thing that people fuck up when they disagree or they're holding on to all these dogmas. It was really hard for me. Like I kind of said in that first episode, like, oh fuck, well, I'm going to hell now. You know what I
Well,
mean?
my first round is that my karma ran over my dogma.
I like that, dude.
Done hit my dogma. No offense, Gio.
That's good. Oh, he's yeah. No, I have found. I mean, just yesterday I posted this thing. It's like we're never born and we never die. How much dogma are you fighting in your head to believe that?
0.
Right, but I would say 60, 70, maybe 80% of the population
That's true.
in the U.S. at least.
But one of the things.
I mean, you see what I'm studying. That's why I had these out.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I've already checked them out, man.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of things in there that of course, naturally but as far as one of the things when I had my NDE, and we'll talk about that, and that's another thing that I've talked about it a couple times on Facebook, and of course, let's just call it social media, and where it happened, how it happened, what I experienced following has been the most incredible, and on top of it, it's something I've been thinking about because I know that we can openly talk about your PTSD that you've had with the military.
Sure.
And my father experienced an NDE for 3 days.
Holy shit!
In Korea, he was a Army first sergeant already.
Really, he was a top.
Already at the age of 19.
What?
He worked his.
Was that a field? That must have been a field promotion or something to get to top. That's E8.
Pop joined when he was 15.
Holy shit!
So he was already in for 2 years before, for whatever reason, my grandfather decided that he was missing my dad because he needed him at the shop. That he found him and said he's not 18, and they kicked him. They didn't kick him out. They discharged him.
Right.
But when on his 18th birthday he could come back in. Apparently they liked what he did. I've read his records. He wasn't a first sergeant right off the top, but he was already a sergeant by the time that he went back in at 18.
For prior service, probably.
Yeah, from prior service.
So that's E5, and then time of war, you can definitely get promotion super fast.
So he was. So this would have been 1951 when that happened to him, and he was
right after Roswell.
32. So he would have been 21.
Good.
20.
Man, that's a young first sergeant. I'll tell you what.
And they sent him to the Korean conflict.
What was his MOS?
Infantry.
He was ground pounder. 11 Bravo.
He was an infantryman. Big Red 1 Americal Division out of Fort Riley.
Damn.
That's where I was born. Was Irwin Army Hospital.
Right on, man.
And so he took great pride that
where you come out of the womb and they tell you to stand in formation.
Yeah, exactly. So I grew up with to respect authority and to do the right thing. But the thing was when my dad had his situation, again, we'll get into that in time, is he never opened up about his history. Right. Never. And one night, only one time, and that was getting near. He was starting to have some problems. Just talking about him and the situation kind of led to where I'm at in my life. He was on the dead pile for 3 days.
Wow.
And he only shared his NDE once, and the only reason how they found him is he moaned.
Wow.
And so he suffered extreme PTSD. They had him in in the hospital to heal from his injuries for a year. Damn. And then they had him in a mental ward for a year.
Wow.
And then they sent him.
Well, it'd be nice if they did that to our soldiers now. If they took care of them like that.
I know. And unfortunately,
you get 2 weeks when you get home, and then you're gone. That's your debrief.
He was in there for a year.
Yeah.
And then they sent him to France a year later, and he met my mother. She was a
really
she was
in
a
France,
French,
huh?
Yeah, she was my mother's full-blooded French, and
Parlez-vous
I'm not going to say
français?
she was a war bride. She was an army bride.
Yeah.
And then they had my sister, and then he got transferred back to the States. And as soon as he got transferred back to the States, they sent him back to Korea. But they sent him under an administrative type
So
thing.
that was probably when he
Yeah.
was first sergeant,
And then we
right?
went to Germany in the mid '60s after I was born. I was born in '64, and then after after Germany, then they sent him to Vietnam, and he got wounded again. Never told my mom until after he came back.
Oh, Purple Heart,
And
man.
two things would have happened was is he had gotten his he was a little armored tank, got hit by a rocket, and it hit the impact broke his hand. Kind of ironic that my hand is broken in the same, kind of like Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader.
Yeah,
you
right.
know, not that good and the bad, but the thing was my dad was a okay dude, but the thing was he stepped on a punji stick, went right through his foot.
Damn.
It was a booby trap, and I'm sure you
Right.
know all about that stuff. And
Well, they're a lot different in Afghanistan.
yeah, well, in Vietnam, what they would do is they would soak these things in feces and urine,
Right,
and
so you
Agent
get
Orange.
infected. Yeah.
And so it got him 20 years later, about 24 years later, and finally took him out.
Did the military take care of your mother?
As a matter of fact, they have,
Good.
and they have done it well.
Good.
And they've even give a stimulus to her. She's doing
good.
She's taken care of for life.
Good.
And
she should be
very very great. Had a really cool commendation, a commemoration or whatever accommodation
yeah.
from President Clinton that came to the house that I
Wow,
have. It's
that's
hand
really
signed
cool,
and
dude.
everything.
That's awesome.
And it's just recognizing my dad's service and what had happened. But yeah, man. So it's just kind of wow. I don't even know where we are.
No, it's good. PTSD for me was I was literally thinking about all this stuff. I've been really getting into hermetics and thrice great Hermes, the Kabbalion, the wisdom stuff, but basically how everything's vibration, all this stuff. And when you're focusing on, for 10 years, man, I was the victim. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You guys don't know shit. You guys haven't seen what I've seen. You haven't gone through what I've seen. Fuck you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just turned into an complete angry asshole. And it's something that I have to fight to this day. That like I've also started meditating, and it's changed my entire life. I mean, before I would pray. I did this thing called a quiet time that I was.
There's a difference, folks.
There's a big difference, very big difference.
But praying is still good because
still good, yes,
because it still goes to the source.
Yes, and I believe in that source. So Thoth, they called him Atum or autumn, even the fall, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in that now. I'm really starting to see it because I've felt it in my meditations, and I've done some guided. I've been getting into remote viewing, and I've been having some crazy real, like, I know it's real because there's no effing way.
Tell me a little bit, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm interviewing you, but there are things that I want to know for myself.
Yeah, sure.
Tell me a little bit about the remote viewing because I want to see if that's kind of some of the things that I see.
I think it probably is, Pat. Remote viewing is it's really cool. Actually, this book here, it's written by a PhD who trained military officers for years, decades in this. If you want to watch another cool thing about it, watch a movie. It's called Third Eye Spies. It talks about the guys at SRI, Stanford Research Institute, and the CIA got together back in the day with this guy named Pat Price, who died mysteriously, but he is 100% remote viewing. Like they found all kinds of stuff because of him. It's all documented, and I started getting into it because when I was in the church, I was in a cult, basically. It was an apostolic prophetic type thing, where it was super authority and you can't go against authority because you're going against God, but you're learning the spiritual gifts, right?
Can I ask
they base on Corinthians.
Can I ask what branch of religion?
Christianity.
Okay.
Yeah, Christianity.
Okay.
But
so
non-denominational.
It wasn't like the Methodists or the Baptists.
No. It was tongue talking, Bible thumping, jumping up and down.
Oh man, I've got a story to share with you, which is what turned me away from religion.
Well, dude, I mean,
That was an experience of that. You know, as we set our conversation up too, man. It's just kind of I've had, just so we can speak freely. Before all my life, as long as I've been alive that I can remember, I've been able to communicate with my spiritual guides. I've been able to see my spiritual guides.
Mine's a stingray.
And when we talk
Isn't that
about,
weird?
When we talk
It's like
about
a stingray.
when we talk about it, and you feel the chill in your spine,
Yeah.
and that's called confirmation.
I know.
That
I call it the spirit of truth.
That's the spirit of truth, confirmation,
Yeah.
however way you want to call it. I get it in the spine a lot, and then my hair stands.
All the
But I
time,
have always had that. I have always had that
connection.
gift.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, it's been a curse.
I think it's in our DNA, really. I think every human being can tap into that.
Everyone, every living soul has that opportunity.
And we're all connected, man. That's why meditation can change
your life. That's
why
when I met you, I'd known you before. And the reason what I mean by that.
I understand that. Kindred
okay,
souls.
so let me ask you this, because again, not to insult, I don't know what you know.
You're not going to insult me at all. Okay. Dude. Say whatever you want.
Are you familiar with what the Akashic records are?
Yes, the Akashic records.
I am able to access that.
Really?
I have that ability.
Okay, so now, like Matthias Stefano kind of stuff. Do you know who I'm talking about? The young kid who now he's in his, I would say, probably late 20s, early 30s. Matthias Stefano, he's on Gaia a lot. He remembers the Atlantean and the Mu and you know, I had a really hard time. I was very, very skeptical. I mean, and that's just the dogma, man, that I've been having to fight.
Sure. Now, my thing is, and back in the 90s, when I was starting to develop and nurture and become more and more attuned in the 3D world of I could do if you want to call them psychic readings.
Yeah, sure.
I've done that. I had done that, and there was a period of time where I was kind of doing that for other people. And
I've got a story.
I got taken advantage of.
Oh, dude.
And,
you have to be
and it
very
was one
careful.
of those things that when it finally came around to the classic, which is the number one thing that intuitives, I call them intuitives, and what intuitives hate the most is, now, do you think I'm going to get that dining room set that I've always wanted?
Yeah.
It's like,
that's not what it's about.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
It's like, manifest a Lamborghini.
Yeah, manifest it. That's the whole thing. You put it, you
visualize it.
If you visualize it, and your thoughts become things.
It's true.
Doesn't matter whether you think you can afford it or not. If you totally want it,
that's correctly.
That is why so many cool things have happened to me musically, and not that I'm any different than anybody else.
No, but you are different because you're thinking different.
Well, but
that's
the thing is it had, and it has allowed me the opportunity just by visualizing to pretty much play for every one of my heroes in the blues.
That's awesome.
And I've also had opportunity to do the same.
Do you write these things down? I think that's very powerful.
What is it?
Do you write these things down that you want? Like what I did, I literally just did this last night.
Yes,
because I have a bunch of goals and stuff written down, but they're not really specific, you know? And I wrote
Are
down...
they from Napoleon Hill?
No.
Think and Grow Rich?
No. It's more like The Secret. The law of
it's all the
attraction
same
type
thing. It's
stuff,
the laws of attraction. It's all the same thing.
Yeah,
okay?
it is.
It's the power. Okay, now we're going to get into this, and this we're gonna ease into it, Fletcher. All right, because we still got 4 or 5 more hours to go.
Shit.
Okay, no, I'm just kidding. So here's the thing. Okay, let's make this very clear. Let's talk about the universe, and let's just hit it right off the bat.
Go for it.
There is spirituality, and then there's religion.
Definitely.
Now, we're going to take the religion aspect for and the first question I'm going to ask you and this has to do with religion because I've heard you talk about this before, and I heard you talk about this with Cliff.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What is the first commandment?
Love the Lord God with all your heart, soul, and mind.
And where is thou shalt not kill?
That's way down.
But the thing is it's there.
Yeah, but Jesus said,
so why? So
number
why,
one, number
so
two.
Why? So we're just going to get this out of. So I'm thinking about.
And that's
it.
coming from a God who's wiping millions of people off the planet every day.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, these are all contracts that these people have signed.
Sure.
Before they entered into this body. So the thing, or their current incarnation.
Sure. I want to talk about that too later.
There are several things from the Bible and religion that I can see in theory.
Yeah, there's some good shit
with
in there.
Spirituality. First off, when the Bible says God made man in his image, all right? Because we're in a 3D world, the theological people, the church people, many of them visualize God as an old man up in the clouds.
Oh, dude, I did. A father. He was my father, basically. I skipped through Jesus.
So we're going to start it out this way. If God created man in his image, that's a whole lot. Now, I
don't believe God created man.
I have always looked at God. When you hear me say the word universe or God or whatever, it's all the same. Thing. Yep. It's all the same thing. It's just a different name.
Yep.
He's known.
And it's definitely not Yahweh.
The masculine and the feminine are both known in
there's
many,
no
many
feminine
names.
in Christianity, though. That's a huge problem.
Well, of course they have Mother Mary, however.
Yeah, but not in the Trinity of power. It's Father, Son, Holy Ghost, who's genderless.
Okay, so God created man in his own image. The one thing that the universal power has given every living creature is the power of free will. Mm-hmm. The power to do or not do. It's so interesting because there is so much connection of truth, and I do not in any way, shape whatsoever associate myself with QAnon people or any kind of conspiracy theorist. But I will say I have found a lot of dualities and a lot of truths in Star Wars and that whole thing.
Dude. It's based on the Jed Pillar in ancient Egypt. That's literally, they're called the Jedi. The people that, the Jed Pillar was one of the, it's actually in the Kabbalion, not in the Kabbalion, but he talks about the Jed Pillar. Basically, this is written by one dude in 1908, what we think, but it's all based on Hermetic stuff. It's really good.
So the universal power, giving us the power of free will to create.
That's the main
or
thing.
Not create.
Yep.
That's like Yoda says, you can or cannot. There's only do, there is no try.
Right.
Something like that.
Or in the Matrix, there is no spoon.
Right. But so we all have the ability to create, which is why some people have more than others. Some people don't. It's just your thought pattern.
Exactly. You wake up in the morning, you stub your toe. Oh, this day's going to be horrible. You start dwelling on it, and then you attract all the bad shit for that day to you.
Well,
literally,
it's more about. Let's just look at it like this.
You create your own reality.
You create your own reality. For me...
Well, let's stop there for just a second. Yeah. What does that mean? You create your own reality. A lot of people will think that, a lot of this isn't going to work for you if you're selfish. If your only goal is to be rich and famous and powerful, it's going to be a long, long road.
Well, but it is possible.
It is possible, yes.
It is possible, but the thing is,
you need to
what holds a lot of people back? Everybody wants the best for themselves, their families, whatever it is. But the thing is just the mental imprisonment is
insane.
Is what it is. It's just like, Oh, I hear they say that. Oh yeah, you can. It's one of those things. Yeah, I know I can make $1 million. I can do this. I can do that, but I don't believe it. So okay.
Sure. Then it's
So
never going to happen.
so you get what you want.
Yeah.
That's. I too was turned on by The Secret, and that's kind of what opened my thing. I
You want
grew
to
up.
you want to hear what my first?
I grew up a Catholic. I'm sorry.
Ooh, I was going to say, do you want to hear what my first thing that I wrote down on my?
Tell me.
I want to make so much money that I can give it away every day.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm the same.
Yeah,
I'm the same. I want to give back.
Yeah, I want to have a lot so I can give it, so I can help people get out of their mindset. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times it takes something drastic like that. I don't know. I think being grateful is a huge key for what you have already, and then actually,
gratitude and appreciation is how you get it.
Yes, exactly. And then you not being a hateful asshole. You know what I mean? Like the universe is not a hateful asshole.
No.
But it does run in cycles, and there is shit. There's creation and destruction. Creation and destruction. Thousands and thousands of years.
But that's how, especially on this 3D world of the Earth, it's just how it's always been.
Yeah, for billions of years.
It's to quote to quote Kansas, nothing lasts forever but the earth and sky.
Yep. And even that may get sucked into a black hole at one time.
I'm sure. Well, we're going to fry. And that's the next prophecy. But
we'll be ascended by then.
That's the plan. Yeah. That's the plan. See, I like that. That's why my friends are up in the sky, and if you look close enough, you can see them every day.
Okay, this is weird, and this might freak people out, and I haven't wanted to share this publicly.
We're going to talk about extraterrestrials too.
Oh no, this is something different. This is like what we're talking about now. Yeah. But I've literally got messages from Jan to give to his sister.
So have I.
And they were right on. And
so have I. I hear him all the time.
I do too.
I hear him all the time. You're a pussy, Recob.
Oh, dude, I hear him say, "Get out here."
I hear. And he's not the only one. I've told you. I've had this gift all my life, and especially since my NDE. Mm-hmm. Being gone for.
Well, let's talk about that.
Being gone for somewhere in the realm of 15 to 16, 17 minutes.
Were you brain dead? Was your brain gone? Or?
Well, it took me a long time to recognize and realize what happened. And it became very apparent pretty quickly. I wasn't, like I said, it took a while. Lisa and I were married.
Hi, Lisa.
Lisa and I were married on the island of Maui.
Beautiful.
We decided that we wanted to be just she and I. We wanted to be in paradise. We wanted to be, well, like I said, I've always been a guy that my body has always been susceptible to hypertension.
Well, you should change that.
I've always been a homeopathic guy. I can't do blood pressure medicines, and I can't do because what the blood pressure medicine, doesn't matter which kind. I've been on several regimes. It fries my voice out, and as a singer, I can't take that chance. And it got to the point to where the last round, I almost wasn't able to talk. I almost completely lost my voice. And we could talk about that too.
I imagine your meditation helps you with that.
I'm trying to give an overview and just self-edit as much because, like you said, I can talk. But the thing is,
I don't care.
We decided that we were going to be married on Maui on 11/11.
Nice.
We were going to do 11/11/11, but we couldn't get our shit together, so it came the following year. And already at that point, I was playing with Lee McBee and the Confessors, and I'd already had my opportunity with Gary Primich, and things were already kind of happening with some really good music things. And I felt that already at that point, okay, let's get this clear. When people ask, well, what is your vision of musical success?
Right.
Okay. For me, In rock and roll, if Paul McCartney and Mick Jagger get together and they're talking about musicians and they're talking about bass players and my name comes up, that's it. It's not about money.
No.
It's not about fame.
No.
It's about that guy. That guy can play bass.
Right.
Now, in the blues world,
he can keep the groove.
To make it in the blues, now, granted, everybody has their favorites. They have their definition of what blues is. We're not going to even get into that. But I play old school blues. Old school meaning 1950s, 60s, early 70s.
Harpo.
So Willie Dixon, Magic Sam, Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, Sonny Boy Williamson, all the original guys. That's my guys. And the band leaders that I have set my sights on.
Is that bothering you?
No. Okay. And the band leaders that I had set my sights on were guys like James Harmon, Kim Wilson, the Fabulous Thunderbirds. Granted, naturally, Lee McBee. Lee McBee and Mike Morgan were the two guys that I really wanted to play with. That was my dream band, was to play with the Crawl. And I had already become friends with those guys. It was Mike who recommended me to Gary Primich. It was Mike. Lee. It was down in Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
Dallas, Texas. Okay. But I always lived here in Kansas City. Originally from Topeka. I moved from Topeka to Kansas City in 91, 92 to further my music career. I was playing in a band called Dangerfield McNally. Out of Topeka, they started becoming very popular. That brought me to Kansas City because McNally moved to Kansas City. And so already at that point, I was already starting to get to sit in and play with Little Hatch and those guys in 39th Street Blues Band with Big John. Those guys were the ones, and the Blues Notions with Trashmouth Baker and Carl, who plays guitar with me. And it's just, I started kind of getting to make my way, and then I got out nationally and all of that. And then it got to the point to where I started visualizing who I really wanted to play with. Now, that's how Gary came along. And at the time, I think we can talk about it because it's going to come back, that I had, before Lisa and I got married, I was previously married, and I haven't forgot what we're talking about. But the thing is, I was previously married to a woman that was older than me. We're not going to get into that because it's just,
I've had one of those
I'm
too.
I'm at peace with it.
Yeah, I got
I'm
you.
at peace with it. But she was older than me. She had already been in the music business, already had a very incredible past that most people's like, man, you're lying. But she worked for the Beatles. She worked at Apple Records. She was a part of that. Yeah, you can see her in the Get Back and all that stuff. And it's just like, but the thing is, that was a union that appeared to be okay. It appeared. Unfortunately, people have their own agendas, and her agenda definitely didn't match my agenda. So it went after a while. But the thing is I have to back up just a little bit. I'd played rock and roll up to that point. And in 1986, being a big Beatle fan, and a lot of that's been coming out lately because I'm making this new record that I'm putting out, that I'm taking songs that I wrote from that time period and that are outside the blues genre. But because everybody just gets so, it's just music.
Right.
It's music.
Yeah.
But everybody's, you're already ripping off the blues and now you're turning your back on it. No, that's not true. I'm writing songs and
those guys
releasing songs that I had created from a very young age. And I was very fortunate to meet the Beatles' protege band, Badfinger. And they were my very first break into the music industry. And anybody that knows any history whatsoever about Badfinger knows that that's a very tragic story. Yes, and I can honestly say I've seen a lot of it firsthand because I became involved with those guys. I never played with them. I was never on the payroll. I was just a big overglorified fan that they saw some potential passion in that I wanted to learn the music industry. And what better opportunity putting it out to the universe that I get to meet my heroes. This gave me the opportunity to meet people that worked one on one with John Lennon, Paul and George and Ringo, that recorded on Apple Records, that led to so many other things. I was given, I was so green, Fletch, I knew nothing. And I pissed them off a few times because of my ignorance. I just didn't know. But over time, it just kind of settled in. So it was very odd that later on down the line, I was a part of that for about 7, 8 years. And then I started turning toward the blues. I wanted to play bass and Badfinger, but that was never going to happen.
Yeah.
Because Joey already had a bass player. And then when Mark left for a little while, and there was several different groups of bass players, I didn't get that opportunity. I just took it, well, that's just not going to happen. And I saw other opportunities. Once that blues bug hit me, that was the path that I was destined to go down. So when you put your thought and your mind process out to create what you want, I wanted to play with people like James Harmon. I wanted to play with people like Kim Wilson.
Yeah.
I would definitely wanted to play with Lee McBee and Mike Morgan. And I got a gig playing bass for Lee. Mike Morgan and the Crawl took me to Europe.
Yeah, dude.
I went on
That's
tour
awesome.
with them. I would fill in on occasion. Mike has had his version of his band, The Crawl, for decades. He's always pretty much had the same guys. He's had Drew and Kevin forever. But on this particular deal, they took me to Europe. And so the thing is, Lee was always one of these guys who would push me out to go play with other people. Now I haven't forgot my NDE. So the thing is because it's all leading up to it.
Take your
As
time.
all these things started happening, I'd had all this inner spiritual things happening, and intuitive and intuition and all that. I do have to say it because I've noticed one thing about you is that you can get people to talk about things that they normally don't talk about. During that Badfinger thing, their manager was Joey had a manager that was a bit of a shyster.
Wow.
Now, in time, he was gone. And he had been involved with the band in and out. But the thing is he was involved in reuniting the Bay City Rollers
Oh, wow.
in 1989. And their sound man went to be like their manager slash sound guy, recording engineer. And I'm laying in bed, and I knew that it was all going down. And I was making promo packs for management. I got to do a lot of behind the scene things that, again, as a fan, I got some really cool things, and I'd travel. They gave me the opportunity to, I could go anywhere I wanted to go. I just had to pay my own way,
Right.
which was cool.
Yeah.
Because it's like a
You're
apprenticeship,
yeah.
whatever, yeah. And so,
Like me and Levy
I've
Town.
got 103-degree fever. I've been sick for 4 days, and no sign of letting up. I get a phone call from their manager and saying, "Hey, man, we've been talking about you, and we're thinking that we want to give you an opportunity to play bass for a famous band. How would you like to come and audition for the Bay City Rollers? Eric Faulkner is needing a bass player. Woody's not going to be playing."
Wow.
And they were talking about maybe even getting Les McKeon to come in, who was the original singer. And if you know anything about the Bay City Rollers, yes, they're pop. But the thing is, they had some very, very harsh feelings about each other, but they were trying to make another go of it.
Yeah.
And I say, and so the manager tells me, if you can be on a plane and be here in Detroit by tomorrow night, we can do this. I was like, dude, I am so fucking sick, I can't do it. And I just kicked dirt for a very, very long time that I potentially, now I had verbally heard about it from their sound man, because he was a good buddy of mine, that the whole project went extremely south.
Yeah.
It
Anytime
went very
people
south.
have.
And then, if you remember, VH1 did Behind the Music.
Uh-huh.
They did a Behind the Music on the Bay City Rollers. And Eric Faulkner made this comment. And I loved Eric Faulkner. I mean, who the heck would want to play SATY?
Sure, man.
Night, that kind of stuff. And this is like, hell yeah, and be on something brand new. And he said that situation, because he talked about it. They talked about it, and they even had footage of them rehearsing from that time. And he said, in the 20 years that he was in the Bay City Rollers, that was the worst, most negative thing that ever happened.
Well, then the universe knew
the
that.
universe saved my ass. So the thing was, as we're kind of talking about it, creating, well, as it got to the point to where Lisa and I got married, and again, the drinking, smoking weed, doing any of that crap, I've always had the willpower and the feeling I can take it or leave it. And I really just never messed with it, because who wants Mr. Hyperactive over here whacked out on something, just even being more hyperactive?
Yeah.
And hey, man, I got to be cool, man.
But when I first met you, I never thought you were wacky hyperactive guy. I thought you were cool as shit.
I've learned how to keep it under control.
Yeah, I mean,
but the thing was, the quick shoe tie on the bad finger and the first spouse thing.
How many times?
I've already been a part of Joey's team for 8 years. There was 2 or 3 years I didn't see him, and that's when we got together.
Yeah.
And then I went on the road, and Joey came to see me a couple of times. We ran into each other a couple of times on the road. When they came and they played Starlight, they were at Starlight. And we went backstage, and I kept telling him, hey, man, this gal, she worked for Apple. What's her name, man? Blah, 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 blah. Well, her bleep, blah, 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 no names to protect the innocent. All right, so the thing is, so he goes, man, I think I know exactly who you're talking about, And she'd just be like, well, I knew those people and hated Paul McCartney. And, well, why did you hate Paul McCartney? Well, when you meet somebody, you just sometimes hate him. He's it. Well,
God, I don't never.
Shortly after we split, I read Paul McCartney's biography. And it was like a semi-autobiography. He had somebody write it for him, but you could just tell that he's checking everything. And yes, this is right. Okay. He rags on this American woman that worked for Apple at the same time.
You think that was her?
Well, I know it was her.
Oh, it was?
And it all made sense. But
She who will not be named.
She who will not be named.
Yeah.
But so the thing is they knew each other. So when Joey and her met, they knew each other. That blew my mind. Okay, so anyway, that's the universe kind of pulling in together. So McBee, I've gone on tour already, Smoking Joe Kubek, I'm working with him. He's another Dallas guitar player. I'm kind of focused in Dallas because of the Morgan.
Down in D-Bellum.
Yeah, exactly.
I know there very well.
DFW. And so Joe, I got to work with Joe in Benoist, and good things are starting to happen. I've always kept a day gig. I have always I've always worked in surgery. That's part of my MO is I don't divulge everything on social media because I want to have somewhat of my own personal life.
Yeah,
I've worked in a hospital environment since 1985.
Okay.
And there hasn't, other than the first year that I took off to go play with Gary, even the last 15 years of when I spent time out. This is how the universe works. When you put it out and you create and you want things to work for you so you can do what you want to do, it doesn't matter how difficult the task may be. It doesn't. When you have the vision, the passion.
Yep. And you're taking action.
and you're taking action and the emotion, so many doors open up.
Yeah, it's
So
crazy.
I had been working for McBee, working for Morgan, working, playing with Lee McBee every Sunday night for 15 of their 20 years. And McBee's always pushing me to go forward. Hey, man, you got to get out there and you got to go play with those guys. I'm telling you, man, they're calling me on the phone looking for you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to fire you if you don't go. It's just like, well, okay. And he was always very supportive. My parents had always been supportive.
That's good.
And Lisa is way supportive.
She's
so we got
doll,
when we got together,
man.
when we got together, she's just like, well, you got to go do this stuff. This is what you need to be doing. Whereas the opposite on the first round,
Get off the couch, you fucking slob.
no, you need to go support me and take
Right, yeah,
care
sure.
of me and blah blah blah
The
blah.
total bullshit
And
lines.
that was the agenda that had nothing to do with who I truly am.
It's like my second wife.
Yeah, and so Lisa has always been very supportive. So we went and we got married.
She always tells me how good I look.
I know. I'm not worried.
I know
who
you're not.
she's going home.
I know you're not.
I know who she's going home.
I literally,
Vice versa.
She's so sweet and so nice. And one time at Knucklehead, she really it was one of those Kairos moments, man, for me. It's just like confirmation type thing, you know.
Yeah. So we went to Maui, and like I said, I've always had a history of hypertension.
Why don't you stop saying that?
And so it was really stressful. We were going to be there for 10 days, and the first 4 or 5, we were getting everything taken care of, so we could make our appearance on the beach and get married. And it was freaking awesome. It was wonderful. It was paradise. If you've ever been to Hawaii, or
I have not been to Hawaii.
Maui especially is one of the most very magical places on earth. I mean, it's paradise. I mean, it I can't explain it. And for me, because empath, whatever, I feel a stronger connection to it. I've always felt a strong connection to land and to sea and things like that.
I'm that way in certain spots too.
So that whole week, we had just been so stressed out. And then we got married on a Sunday. Well, Lisa made plans that we were going to go snorkeling on Monday morning. But we had to be at the Whalers Village to meet our boat at like 8 o'clock.
Right.
And as you know already, we were already acclimated to the time. There's 4 hours difference.
Right.
So I'm getting a few phone calls from the day gig.
In the afternoon.
No, man, at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh.
When the delivery guy's waiting for me at the door at 10 a.m. And, it's like, dude, I'm in Hawaii. But the thing is we were just both dead dog tired. And I was just absolutely just exhausted. But she's like, look, dude, we got 4 days left before we got to go. We're going to live it up. We're going to do as much as we can now that we're married. And our wedding was just absolutely beautiful. But so we go.
How long have you guys been married now?
2012, 11 years. This will be our 11th year. And we've been together since 2006.
That's awesome, man.
Met me at BB's Lawnside Barbecue, and I always...
I'm playing there this Friday, by the way.
Yeah, Friday, ladies and gentlemen. The Fletcher Christian Show.
It's my second time. It's funny, man. I've been trying to get in there for so long, and I finally did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it takes a little bit of time, but
Jimmy was like, well,
Jimmy is very quick to tell me, you got to remember, booking is only one of the things that I do.
Oh God, that guy's.
I'm a meat guy. I'm a manager.
Dude,
I'm a schedule.
What he's done to the place too lately is, man, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
And so so we wake up and we go, and I'm slamming coffee and I'm slamming Red Bull.
Well, that's not good for your hypertension.
Exactly. See, so you can see already what's getting ready to happen.
I know what's happening.
I had several Red Bulls. I had several cups of coffee. And I'm amped
And I
up.
doubt you checked your blood pressure.
Say what?
And I doubt you checked your blood pressure.
I wasn't checking it at that time.
Yeah.
That came 2 years later.
Yeah.
And so I'm amped up, and we get on our boat, and we're headed to the Molokini crater, which is this big, huge rock, just 5 miles, 10 miles off the coast. It's like it's remnants of an old volcano.
Oh, okay, cool.
And so it's beautiful. We're on our way out there, man. We're seeing dolphin. We're seeing big blue whales, and
just Pacific is
just
amazing.
amazing things. And the people on the boat is, oh, our depth control, our sonar radar says that we just had 20,000 dolphins that we've already passed, and the last school was 12,000 alone, and we just have
That's a lot of dolphins.
we have and it's real funny because they're so sweet, man. And they said we have 9 blue humpback whales and no sharks, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry, there's no sharks. And I'm just like, oh, that's a relief.
Yeah.
If I happen to fall
everybody
off,
else is here,
you
but
might look over the side of the boat, and here come these dolphins, and it's just paradise, man. And then we get to the Molokini crater, and like everybody, it's like Party Cove.
Sure.
Okay, so all these boats are there. They're all doing the snorkel because apparently they got the coral reef. You can just look down in the water already, and there's like lots of boats, and you can see all these fish. It's just amazing. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we're pulling in, and it's going to be time to jump in. We have 30 minutes. 30 minutes for you. And then we'll be going to the island of Lanai, which will be another 45-minute boat ride, and we'll be seeing more dolphins. We'll be serving lunch during that time period, right. and we'll be having more of the same there.
Basic charter stuff.
But now, right? Ladies and gentlemen, we are expecting you to have one of the most important, wonderful visual times of your life. All the different trigger fish are down there. Hamu, nuku, apawa.
No sharks though.
Is in great. That's the state fish of Hawaii. Yeah. It's so the hamu, nuku, apawa is in full domination, and be looking for the bluefish and the yellowfish, and it's one of those things, Fletcher, where everybody's jumping off, and this is great. Lisa's already in the water. She's gone, and so. I jump in the water, splash. All of a sudden, it goes black.
As soon as you jumped in?
As soon as I jumped into the water.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, I start seeing the tunnels and the tubes. And if you've ever seen anything that represents any kind of meditation, I see it whenever I go to the Akashic Records. And I'd heard about these before. I never really saw it. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh, fuck.
I'm dying.
And I'm very aware.
Were you scared?
No. I'm just like, and I'm starting to visualize. I'm going through these tubes and these tunnels, and I know what's happening. I'm very well aware of what's happening because through my spiritual teachings, I fell into the Eastern mysticism teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda and the Self-Realization Fellowship. And Yogananda is
good shit.
He was very influential of bringing the East to the West by teaching the Christian
about Krishna.
Eastern philosophies, and they melded hand in hand.
Yeah.
Which is
Jesus grew up in Egypt.
Exactly,
Literally
yeah,
grew up in
yeah.
Egypt.
So
Like,
so
he was a student of Hermetics.
I'm somewhere in the cosmos.
Probably the Pleiades.
Say what now?
I said probably the Pleiades.
Man, that's not funny, man. Those are my bros.
I know.
Those are my
it's,
bros.
it's not
man.
a joke.
And
it's
I've
not a
seen
joke.
them too.
It's not a joke.
I've talked with them. But so the thing is,
Pleiades have been around for a very long time.
well, they're there. All you have to do is look out in the south sky, and they're
Yep.
there every night.
That's why I bought this thing, man.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
I'll point you to it.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll even give you the coordinates. I know where they're at because they're over my house because CE5 has taught me that. So now we're
Dr. Stephen Greer, right?
that's my bro.
Is CE5?
That's my bro.
Do you know him
I
actually?
don't know him, but let's just say I do know him. But
Dude,
I don't.
great
But so
dude.
hey man,
Guy's got balls
hey
of
man,
steel.
well he has to get it out. But so the thing is through him is how I got with those dudes. All right. So the thing is,
Check that out. CE5.
yeah. Oh yeah, them
Check it out.
CE5.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. That's the extraterrestrial. So the thing is, I'm starting to feel in a place where I know what's happening.
Mhm.
I'm very aware of what's happening.
You're done.
And I come through the tubes, and now I'm surrounded by white light. All right. Misty.
Which is one of the
I've
highest
heard
frequencies there is.
I've heard about the mists,
White light.
and I'm not afraid. And it's one of 3 times I see Jesus. All right. Dude, what are you doing here? You know?
That's what he said to you?
No, that's what I said. I was just like, dude, what are you
You
doing
knew who he
here?
was?
You know, and
What do you look
and I
like?
start to hear the voice of my dad.
What did Jesus look like?
Dude, he was wearing warm-ups. No, I'm just kidding. No, it just
He wasn't white, was he?
it's whatever you perceive it to be.
There we go. Thank you. That's what I was hunting for.
To me, I'm sorry, my Jesus is Mediterranean looking,
yeah,
okay?
like
he's
he was.
brown skinned, you
Sure.
know, white Jesus.
He's not black. He's not white. He's right in between.
Hey, you know, it's what you're comfortable with. I have always been open, and I have always been let it flow.
Mm-hmm.
And like Yogananda, I've seen him with the beard, I've seen him without. And the times that I have had that experience has always been profound. And it's just, it wasn't like, come to me, my child. It wasn't
Sure.
anything like that. It was just like, he's just there.
Sure.
Just like he was the last time. And I'm hearing the voice of my dad.
That's awesome.
And I'm just,
At peace.
I'm at peace. I ain't seeing no fish, all right?
Right.
And I did see the fish for like just a short, brief, 3 or 4 second thing. And they're giving me some information. I'm being told a few things.
You're going to meet this really cool guy named Fletch.
So yeah,
I'm just kidding.
your goal, Patrick, is to teach Fletcher
Funk 49.
that it does exist. So, and like I said, if white Jesus is what you want to see, white Jesus is what
Sure.
you're going to see. I've seen white Jesus.
I think it's
before,
what's going to bring you peace.
But it's just whatever you feel accepted with.
Sure.
But
I think there's a definite...
but this Jesus, I just knew it was Jesus, and he
Right.
didn't look like Cesar Borgia. Okay, so
Yeah.
so
He wasn't saying Augustine's portrait, right?
no. That's Caesar Borgia is who that is.
Yeah.
It's the son of the cardinal. You know this.
I know all
Mr.
this shit.
Master.
Yeah.
I've got a master of theology.
Yeah.
I already know these answers. I know these stories, Patrick.
I know these assholes.
So all I know is I'm feeling at peace, and I'm being given instruction about maybe what's to come. I'm not afraid.
Can you share some of that?
You've been watching it ever since you've seen me.
Okay.
And what that is, the one thing that I noticed in your first interview with Cliff, both of you were talking about helping people.
Yeah, it's the main
helping people
thing, dude.
has always been, granted, the way that I tell people. Now let me kind of, okay, so since we're there, I'm somewhere. I'm not in this dimension. I'm probably, I estimated to be in the 18th dimension.
Wow, you go that
maybe
far, huh?
19th. Well, that's where they are. That's where all of our loved ones is, and that's where all of our...
The cloud of witnesses?
Yeah, the cloud of witnesses. And it's not a cloud, it's just another dimension.
Yeah.
It's like this. It's just another dimension.
Yeah. I think you can get there
and so
DMT
I'm being given this information, which is basically how to be a better person, how to be more tolerant, how to be more lenient, understanding, and recognizing and realizing that although many people are happy, there is equally as many unhappy people, which is why I have my own social media vibe. You have yours, but mine, I'm always reaching out to the brokenhearted.
Yes.
And I'm always reaching out.
Because you've been broken.
Yeah. Well, the thing is like for Halloween, for Valentine's Day and for Christmas, and we all know people that are sick. We all know people that are heartbroken. We all know people that hurt.
And heartbreak can actually cause you
My goal was to help bring a positive energy to those people, for them to recognize they're not alone. They have the ability within themselves to heal themselves.
And
unfortunately, some of our loved ones are a little too far gone and have it's overtaken them. Yeah,
and that's literally
Recob.
That's literally their past.
Yeah, well,
that's not them. It's all their years of horrible thinking and shit behind them.
The earth years.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But the energy and their souls are still very much alive.
Sure.
And me, I hear them all. And almost all of my band leaders, all of my guys that gave me the chance to get started, they're all gone into another dimension.
Yeah.
So that, to be able, and also that I was being, it's like, as that was being happened, my soul had to be ripped out of my flesh so they could download, if you want to call it a download, more higher.
It literally sounds
intuitive.
Literally sounds exactly like some of the rites that they would have done back in ancient Greece.
Yeah.
The Knights Templars. You go to this place, you have an induced out-of-body experience, basically death. You come back. You've been to paradise. You see everything's connected. And we're talking about Knights Templars who eventually turned into the Freemasons. Knights Templars are Freemasons. They fled to Scotland, and that's where they started.
Which, by the way, I am one.
Oh, there you go.
And
so, but for me,
I'm a past master of my law.
Christianity put all of that stuff in the demonic devil side, right? So when I'm growing up, I'm open to all this stuff. When I'm growing up, I'm understanding now. I'm having memories of past lives in Japan.
Good for you, man.
Like I have this one image that I've had. Ever since I can remember, of me in this bamboo forest, and it's not a good memory. I think it's when I might have died one time, because I see a blade of a sword and I see a lot of bamboo, and then it goes by.
Well, for me, concentration camp,
Really?
and after that,
Are you Jewish? Do you have any Jewish?
no, it
Isn't
doesn't
that
matter.
crazy? That's
It
right.
doesn't
It doesn't
matter.
matter.
Doesn't
You
matter.
pick where you come back. I think. I think you literally pick.
That, and after that, the lifetime before that was 2 lifetimes ago, and the one after that, I was a young black child that was lynched
Wow.
in the South.
I feel like I've been burnt at the stake before.
Well, I'm sure you have. We all have. We all have.
Especially if you're one of those mystic seekers people, man.
But the thing is, so I'm being given this information. The Christ, my Father, and all of a sudden I hear this, "You're going back."
Were you pissed?
I was like, well, okay. Surrender, bro.
Yeah, right. What can you say?
Well, surrender. I mean, it was a confirmation that it exists. I knew that it exists because I'd already seen it.
Yeah.
I'd seen it in vision. I'd seen it in meditation. I've had long conversations. If I told you who my guides were, man, you go, "What the fuck? You
I wouldn't.
crack."
I believe you, dude.
But the thing is,
I have three of them.
Let's just say I have very strong musical entities that guide me in what I do. And the world will live as
Lucy in the sky.
So the thing is, all of a sudden I slam back into my body. And when I realized what had happened, I'm laying on the reef. And at that point, I'm underwater about 20 feet.
Wow.
I slam back into my body. And I'm just like freaked. I'm back and I'm freaked. And I think what happened was, because they watch, they make sure that everybody, the people on the boat are making sure. So probably what they were thinking is I'm just down snorkeling and just looking real close and shit. Because Lisa doesn't even have a snorkel. She's off without a life jacket. No belt, nothing. Lisa is a Mississippi River rat that grew up on the river, and she'd never seen anything like this. And all she had was her mask and her fins, and she's just swimming everywhere. And I'm just like, I got to get to the surface. Holy crap. And I recognize and realize that during that whole time I've been underwater. So to me,
isn't that crazy?
What felt like 5 minutes, not even
30
minutes
seconds
in the water, I come up and I'm just like, how do I get up? I'm having a panic attack. I'm having a panic attack. And then naturally, zoom, here they come. They get me. They take me out of the water, and they're trying to get me over there. And Lisa comes up, and she's like, "What's up? Having a panic
Chill
attack.
out, bro.
You okay?" Well, boom, I'm going back down. But we didn't know what had happened.
Right.
So we get me back on the boat, and I feel like such a pussy. Not to paraphrase Jan, but I just felt I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
Because I'm still, did I hallucinate all this stuff? What? Here I am. I'm back in my body. And I tell the guy up on the boat, they say, "Hey, man, it's okay. Would you like some orange juice? Are you having a sugar crash?" I said, "I don't know, man. I think I over caffeinated is what I did. Red Bull and all that. And I can't do Red Bull. And I knew that I couldn't do Red Bull because it's one of those things. I can feel my artery thumping whenever I take that stuff. Mm-hmm. But I did it anyway because I wanted to go on this thing. And I said, "Man, I can't believe I haven't even been in the water 5 minutes." The guy goes, "What? We're entering like the 20-minute mark."
Oh, so you were down there for a long time.
Yeah. And they said, what do you mean? And I said, maybe I am having a sugar crash. And I'm playing stupid immediately because I get, something big just really happened. So everybody gets back on the boat. I'm feeling like a wussy. There's this woman who's barfing her guts out. So I was like, "Hey, I'm in good company."
Right.
You know,
Outshine!
she's barfing her guts
So we used to
out.
say in the military.
Oh, so they don't have to look at me like,
Yeah, somebody
what the hell
outshined
was
you.
he talking about? 5 minutes. We were all down there for 20. You know, and now granted, just a few of those minutes, they're fishing my ass out, right?
Right.
So we head on over to the next place. They serve us lunch, and Lisa's like, "Dude, are you okay?" It's like, Lisa, I don't know, man. I think man, it feels like I just had an out of body experience, and blah this and blah that. And so we head over to Lanai, which is like 45 minutes, and I am petrified, just petrified.
About going
I'm just
back in the water?
I'm just freaking. And I'm just like, we get there and they dock and everything, and they're just like, well, here we are. We're at Lanai. It's almost as deep as the other place that we were at. It's 15, 20 feet at the deepest, but there's lots of coral reef to go look at. You know, they give you a big. I mean, they're very good about teaching you what to look for. And the weather was really nice. It was kind of clouded, but it's the Pacific Ocean for you. Very dark blues, but where we were at was clear water, and we everybody's jumping in there, and Lisa's first to go, man, because she's just really digging it. Are you going to be okay? I'll be fine. I'm just going to stay on board. I'll be okay. I'm just being just trying to play it off, but I'm petrified. And I just felt like, man, I'm in Hawaii. I'm in paradise. This is just the most, if ever I was going to die, paradise here. So I think you see what's getting ready to happen. So I just realized, you know what, man, I got to do this. So the crew was very sympathetic, but you could tell they're going,
well, I doubt you're the first guy that's ever done
right.
this.
They're going,
yeah. Get all this gringo.
Here's another one.
Yeah.
And so I just looked at him and said, look, something happened to me. I don't know what it is. I'm freaking out, but I've got to get back into the water. This voice kept telling me, get in the water. And so I got back in the water. But before I did, I said, do you have a life jacket? Yeah, we got a life jacket. Do you have those little kid things that you put on the arms that just kind of keep me up above water so I don't sink that? Yeah, we've got that. Do you happen to have any of that noodle shit?
Man, do you guys have pictures of this? You got to send me some stills.
No pictures.
Dang,
no pictures. Not from that, I don't think.
Send me some stills, though, from your honeymoon.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because I'll pop them up on
you. Yeah. So we... They give me the big noodles, and I get into the water, and I look in the water, and I can see my point of view is I see all of this beautiful reef, like caverns and shit, and I could see all these beautiful fish, and I'm skimming up on top of the water.
Yeah.
And I kind of look up and I look back, and the boat's maybe 40 feet back. I've drifted out, and I'm just like, oh shit. But I put my head back in the water, and I'm watching it, and I hear this voice say, "You're okay. Don't be afraid." It wasn't my thoughts. It was. I heard. Right. I specifically heard this voice, and the sunlight is shining through the water. It looked like stained glass.
That's cool.
And I knew I'm okay.
Yeah.
And from the depths, I can see down. I'm still up above on the water, and I can see down to the rock formation. It's this big cavern, and out of this black hole comes this sea turtle that just comes rising up from out of this thing, man. It was amazing to watch its ascent. And all of a sudden,
right in front of you?
It's right on the water.
Oh.
And next thing I know, it's just kind of coming over, and it just kind of turned towards me. And it just kind of swims. And I'm just like,
What's up, buddy?
Yeah, basically, what's up, bro?
Yeah.
What's up? What's up?
Yeah.
And the sea turtle is literally this far from me. And I swear to God, Fletch, what must have been 5 minutes, man. This thing is just checking me out.
Yeah.
And we have this inner icon. We have this eye contact. And we have this inner connection.
Yeah.
And then this thing's just, what do we say? Please, Mr. Turtle, how many licks to the center of a Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop?
Yeah.
You know, please, Mr. Turtle, don't gnaw my face off.
Sure.
You know, and I just feeling just at ease, man. And this thing, it just kind of turns itself around and goes right back down to its little thing.
That's cool, man.
And I know that wasn't a mistake.
No.
It came up to say, hey, dude.
You'll be all right.
You know,
yeah,
you're okay. And so we get back on the boat. Everything's cool. And I'm just thinking, well, if there's anywhere to die, this would have been the place.
Sure.
So now you understand, hence the name of my album, Perpetual Luau.
That's awesome.
And
I
always put it out there, hey, there's some life's a party. To others, it's a perpetual luau. It's because they don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Right. So when I made that record,
well, now they do.
Well, yeah, now, and that's all cool, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, after it came back from that was in November. I had gotten a call. I was working. I'd just gotten hired by a hand doctor that had his own surgery center. And scheduling turned out to where they weren't going to need me 5 days a week. And so basically I was on call for like a year, but I could take as much time off that I needed to. It was quite interesting. It was because I was learning all about his surgery center and how his business ran, that I was the answer guy.
Uh-huh.
And so whenever he needed any information, he'd call me. Okay, he goes, oh, thank you. I'm glad you know this. I'm glad you're the only one that pretty much knows this. You know, and then I did that up until a year ago. So 10 years I was doing that. Well, almost immediately after coming back, I got a call from my buddy Hank Mowry in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I knew Hank when I was on the road with Gary Primich. And he owned a cool venue called the Rhythm Kitchen. And they would bring in national acts. And he told me, he calls me on the phone. He goes, man, I'm getting ready to make this tribute album to Gary. Gary passed away in 2006. And if I'm wrong, it's 2007, but it's 2006. And Hank had done, gotten real tight with the family. I was still tight with Gary's family. And he says, man, I'm getting ready to make this tribute to Gary. And I heard this voice, and it almost sounded like it was Gary saying, you got to have Recob on this deal. And I was only in Gary's band for a year.
Yeah.
But we kept, we had our good times and our bad times, and we both went through, when I went through my divorce and he went through his problems, we were each other's. We healed.
Battle buddies.
We healed our differences, and then we helped each other. And Gary died. Gary had a situation that took his life.
Yeah.
A monkey on his back. And so the thing is that I guess I'm going to go make this record in Grand Rapids. I told Lee about it. He's like, yeah, you got to go. You got to go do this. That sounds like fun. Dude. That's cool. Especially if the family's paying for it.
Right.
And Gary's dad financed the whole thing. So we made this record. We recorded it. We released it. We had, it was a tribute to him, and also songs that I had written along with Hank. Mm-hmm. The record comes out. The record hits the top of the charts, the blues charts, the radio charts, everything. It just really takes off. And the Michigan Blues Society submits it for the IBCs the next year, and it won the IBC.
Nice.
For best self-produced CD. And I'm starting to recognize and realize that all these things are falling into place from what I was being told back in my moment of the 18th dimension, 19th dimension. And all of a sudden, a year goes by, and the doctor tells me that, well, I can't keep you on 5 days a week. I can keep you on 2 days a week. And I said, if opportunities arise to where I can go on the road and play and make some music, could we do that? And long story short, in the end, yes, you could do that. You know, if you could pretty much do your job with a computer and a telephone.
Right.
And so it got to that point, you know, taking care of all of that's exactly what started to happen. I get called to start going to Southern California. And there was a gal, Adriana Marie, and her then fiance. They got married, L.A. Jones. They had a band called Adriana Marie and her Groove Cutters. And a great bass player, Kadar Roy, was going to do some touring with them. But Kim Wilson from the Fabulous Thunderbirds had called and wanted him to play bass on a road trip. And he couldn't do it. He recommended me.
That's so awesome.
Why he would recommend, because we'd never really met. He just knew that I did what he did, but in the Midwest. They bring me out. I start doing that. And then I get an opportunity to play with James Harmon.
Yeah, that's cool.
And actually, Hank is connected there like we are here in Kansas City, in Grand Rapids. And I saw that James was coming, and I heard this voice say, dude, you have to open for James. He has to hear you play bass. And I'm like, interesting. I called Hank up on the phone and said, dude, can we open up that show? He goes, we aren't going to get paid. I said, do you have a problem doing that? He says, the guy said, no. Let me call him. And so he called him, and he goes, yeah, we can do it. The guys want to do it. And I can get the gig if I want.
Yeah.
I said, well, book it. I'll be there. He goes, Recob, you're fucking nuts. You're crazy. You're going to drive all the way from Kansas City to open up for James Harmon, and you're only going to play 45 minutes. So what? I said, dude, I love James Harmon.
Right.
And I just felt this guy needed to hear me play bass. Well, it happened to be, and again, names that aren't going to be named, but the bass player that was playing for James, already before they even hit their first note, and I count that shit. I watch how much people drink. I watch how much they imbibe in their spirits, because it's a problem when you're on stage with somebody. You got to know what to expect. This bass player had 3 crowns and 4 beers before they even hit their first note.
Yeah.
And he just didn't hang. And that guy had a reputation of being like the top guy.
Right.
One of the top guys there. And James, we open up our set, and James keeps popping out from the back watching the band. He's just like pointing at me. He's like, oh, fuck, he hates me. He hates me. And he comes walking up to me and he goes, I like the way that you play that bass guitar, man. You're sounding really good. And it's just like, boom, that was why I needed to be there.
Yeah.
So what happened is the bass player kept drinking. They did their first set with James.
So he's hammered.
And it was okay.
Right.
But I could tell James was agitated. And then he goes, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call Patrick up to play bass. I want to play with my friend Patrick. Is it okay if he plays your bass? Okay, good. So he calls me up, and I'm playing with him, and we just hit it off.
Awesome.
And granted, I had already seen James over 25 years. 25 years. I'd seen the guy maybe 20, 30 times. I loved him. Every time he came to the region, I'd go see him, take time off. There were several bands, James, The Crawl, Anson Funderburg, the T-Birds, Kim Wilson. Whenever those guys would come, I would follow them for days. Fanboy.
Yeah.
Just call me fanboy. And so I hope I'm not taking too much time anyway.
No, dude, you're
so,
fine.
so it's one of those things that.
Dude, this is long form, man. It could
All
go.
right.
Fuck,
I hit it off with James. Everything's cool. Now, I was only supposed to be in Grand Rapids through the weekend. I was going to come home on Sunday. I was going to work for 2 days, and then I was going to drive to Chicago because I was having to meet Hank's band, and I'm used to just driving long hours like so many of us do. And Hank was going to do Chicago. This was going to be like Thursday, Chicago, and then Friday we were going to be in St. Louis, and then we're going to come to Kansas City, and then we were going to go do something else. I think 2 days in Kansas City or something. I don't completely remember, but I think there were 3 days. And I'm at Hank's. We did the show. I'm in my car. I literally have my car in reverse. I'm pulling out. This is how the universe works, all right? Because I'm putting it out there, man. What let thy will be.
Yeah, sure.
Thy will be done.
Right.
And so it's one of these things, man. I literally have the car in reverse. I'm pulling out, and Hank is running out with the phone in his hand. Stop! Harmon's on the phone. What? Hey, man. Harry said Harmon and the bass player had a great big fight last night, and the bass player got fired and packed up and left at 6 o'clock this morning. They don't have a bass player for their next 3 shows.
So
he
you got
wants
it.
you.
Hell yeah, man.
And I'm sitting there going, motherfucker.
That's awesome.
I said, don't fuck with me. This is a pretty big deal. And he goes, no. Here, talk to him. I'm talking to Harry Ullman, who brought James out to that area. He goes, man, we had this bad situation go down after we got back last night, and Harmon and him had it out. I thought they were going to have a fight, and he wants you to play bass. I said, dude, I got to go back to work. I got to be back to work Monday and Tuesday. And that was like the first time I thought, oh, some shit's happening. This is what the powers that be were telling me when I was at the bottom of the ocean, telling me it was going to be happening.
Yeah.
And I said, so I called the boss, said, hey, I can't make it back. I just got this opportunity. I explained it to him as it was. And you got to do this.
Well, that's good.
Go on. Got to do it. So I did it.
I'm glad.
And next thing I know, James is calling me to start doing, he's calling me to start doing, setting up a Midwest road tour.
Fucking A.
You got to set up a Midwest road tour for me, and I want you to be the bass player, and you choose a drummer that you like, and I'll bring 2 of my guys. I'll bring Nathan James, and I'll bring Mike Tempo. And I'm just like, okay.
Heck yeah, man.
And so next thing I know, I've already been to California, and I'm working with Adriana a little bit here and there, and then she started playing bass, and about a year or so after that, I was kind of out of the picture there, but by that time, I was coming back and forth working with James and making my record and all that. So that story, Adam Hagerman I chose Adam to play the drums.
Well, I mean,
Jan was, I think, let me think here at that time. Jan was still with Danielle, so he hadn't, that situation hadn't happened to him yet.
Yeah.
So he was still with Danielle, and Adam could do the gig. And so I took Jan like in the last round. And unfortunately, he got really sick and couldn't do it all. But the thing was, I called Adam, and Adam, oh, we can use my van and blah, blah. And yeah, sure.
Adam's such a great guy.
Oh, he is. He's wonderful.
And he's just now getting out of the hospital, so wish him well.
My bro.
Yeah.
And so we we go on tour with James, and before we went on tour, doing the first Midwest thing, he calls me on the phone, and this is like in April, or no, this is May. It's like a week later, 2 weeks after we did the thing where we were in with the bass player and him, where I sat in with him. I'd already set up a road trip over the course of like 5 days. I called a couple people, and I'm not great at booking. I don't like to book. I'm like you. I just would like to have somebody take care of that shit for me. But you got to do
I'm
what
just,
you got to do.
I'm just really picky.
And I found that there really wasn't. So I called all the places that I knew loved him and that would book him, and everything just boom, it just fell right into play.
Yeah.
And the money was great. Everything was cool.
Well, usually when the universe does something,
That's exactly what it is. So
Yeah.
so we're at BB's. Somebody decides to buy James a Maker's Mark, and he decides he's going to drink it. James kind of had a reputation of he died and recently within the last 2 years.
Sorry about that.
And so he decides he's going to sit down and drink this thing. Sing a song for the people, Patrick. Now Nathan James is world class, and this dude should be singing over here playing the guitar. He's got a world class percussionist.
He's got a world class bassist,
and he's got Adam, and he's got me. Well, thank you. But the thing is he goes, "You play for the folks here at BB's Lawnside Barbecue. Sing a song." And I don't want to hear you do any of that Magic Sam shit. I want to hear you do your stuff. I want to hear you. No offense to Magic Sam.
Hey, and if you have not ever heard Pat, you need to. If you see him out playing, go fucking see him because he's amazing.
Thank you, baby. Thank you very much. But so the thing is, so James,
he gets it from the hair.
James says, "I know you got some originals in there, so play one." And so he gets another drink. Somebody brings him another drink. And he goes, I want to hear you do one more. So we do one more.
This is all at BB's.
And this is all at BB's,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
And this is like the third night out. And he walks up, and he's still got the drink in his hand. It's time for him to come up. I think I did 3 tunes. And he walks up, and he turns his back to the audience, and he puts his drink down. And he looks at Nathan and he goes, "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" And Nathan just looks at him and he shakes his head, yes. And it's just like, what the fuck are they talking about? They got this interaction.
Radar going. Love.
Nathan still has it, but at the time, Nathan had a studio in his house called Sacred Cat Studios, which is where James did all of his recording. Kim Wilson, many, many great blues musicians have made records at this guy's place. So he turns around, he looks at Nathan, and he looks over at Tempo, and Tempo's kind of going like that. Mike, the percussionist, he goes, "You're coming to California.
Fucking A.
And I'm going to make a record on you.
That's awesome.
Whether you like it or not." Because what happened was, and I'm just like, yeah, right, dude. And so what happened is after we did, there's a part I'm leaving out. I'd already been coming to Southern California working with Adriana. Then I met up with James. James says, I want to go on the road with you. Let's do a Midwest thing, which is what we're on at that point. But what had happened is a week after, we had set that up for June. And I was already going to be gone from the hand gig already a week.
Yeah.
So, and I had already gone a week up to Minnesota. No, sorry.
He's a watch model, in case you're wondering.
Michigan.
He's a watch model. That's what he means, the hand gig.
I'm just animated.
Yeah.
And so the week following, James calls me on the phone. He doesn't ever call anybody on the phone. He goes, "I've ran into a bit of a snag." I said, "What's up, James?" He goes, I've got a California tour. I got a coastal tour of 7 dates that I'm gonna need a bass player. Troy, my bass player, is having some issues at home. I think his wife was pregnant, or she was gonna have a baby or something like that. He can't go. He needs to stay home. Can you go? And this is like the following week when I get back from that first time with the bass player and him at the deal. And then it turned out that I never even got to go home. Only had 2 days worth of clothes for 7 days, right? So I said, sure. And he goes, buy your plane ticket and I'll take care of your expenses, which they did and everything. Just that's just the way it goes, how that all works. And next thing I know, I'm just like, wait a second. I'm on tour this summer with James Harmon. I got this gig. Please, universe, let this all work out. Make this all work. Oh, wait a second. You already are making it.
I'm orchestrating it.
You're already doing it. You're already doing it. And
Don't worry there, Recob. I got you.
And so it's just one of those things, the synchronicity. I go and I do the California thing.
Great word.
And then I'm gone. And so he says, okay, so we're going to start. So we come out. We did that whole. I was already with him for like all that time. He never heard me sing until that moment. So that was already like the third weekend, maybe the 12th or 13th show in that I had done with him. And he really didn't hear me sing because he was the singer.
Right.
And so so he tells me, I'm going to make this record on you whether you like it or not. I'm just like, yeah, all right, sure. So whatever, James, let's pack the shit up. I got to take you to the hotel and blah, blah, this. Next thing I know, the next day goes by. He goes, what are you thinking, Nathan? You thinking like, how many songs you think? 10, 15 for him?
Jeez.
And Nathan's like, well, let's at least have 15 and maybe we'll just do 10. And so he says, yeah, well, you know, we're going to figure this out. We'll get a time when everybody can do it. And start getting your money together and we'll talk the money later. And I'm just like, oh, great. This is going to be where I go $25,000, $30,000 in debt to make a record.
Uh-huh.
But it's with James Harmon. And my big my mantra when I was with Gary in the mid 90s, James produced Gary and I was green and I really didn't grasp it. And I had struggles playing every night for a living, and I'd only known regional and local.
Right.
60 miles from Kansas City, an hour or two out tops, you know.
Yeah.
And here I am. I'm on an 8-week tour, and so the thing is Gary was a very astute guy. So you need to do this, you need to do that. This is what I want. He was very good at telling you what he wanted. You don't question him. You do it. And Recob, there will always be a bass player in my band. Now, I'm hoping it's you, but if it's not, it'll be somebody else. That was always a big motivation factor. And then it just got to the point that Harmon came along during that time period, and my big thing was, what does Harmon think? Because the way that guy recorded and made records was the way that I always dreamt of making records.
Uh-huh.
James Harmon, I always knew how to do the upright bass, how to make it sound right. He always knew how to make everything sound right. The guy was a master producer.
Yeah.
And he was a producer even outside of just playing music. He produced records for many, many people. So to have him it's like having George Martin or Glenn Johns or, you know, Phil Spector or one of these great producers.
Fletcher Christian,
baby. Ladies and gentlemen, brand new number 3 album coming out very soon.
Yeah, this summer.
Jam
Simply
Killer
Abstract
Productions, ladies. LLC.
Yeah. It
will become incorporated before long. So the thing is,
I'll take that.
Yeah, fuck yeah. But so from the 90s, my whole thing was, what would James Harmon think? And I never told him that.
Yeah.
And as I got to know him over the years, and especially from that time period, I progressed. And next thing I know, I've got this real super cool relationship going with this guy. And this was after McBee passed away. And so, and I know that McBee, I can hear him. He talks to me, guides me, tells me what I should do, what I shouldn't do. The psychologist might tell you when we're talking the metaphysics, those voices that you hear in your head, that's your thought process.
Well, that's all turning around nowadays too.
Yeah,
there's hard science that backs this shit.
Exactly. You know, I mean, when you got
Harvard peer-reviewed
when you got
science.
Willie Dixon telling you how to play bass, when you got John Lennon telling you what he thinks, when you got Lee McBee telling you what he thinks,
that's awesome.
You can take it to the bank because fruit comes from that tree.
Sure.
And so I know that if McBee was alive, McBee would have been, hey, you out there, man, get playing with the guy, you play with the man. And it's just one of those things that everybody's like, man, how can you have this great relationship with him, man? Everybody just thinks he's a curmudgeon. It's just like, he is.
Just who he is.
You just gotta understand it. Yeah. You just gotta understand him.
Some people, you know.
And so next thing I know, we're making plans, and next thing I know, I make the record. And it's just one of those things. But just as I'm getting ready to make the record, and you can hear it on some of it, I was starting to get my health in check. I was a very sick man. I wasn't like cancer or any kind of debilitating disease like that. But my diet was completely out of control, and I'd had sugar toxicity in my thyroid, my liver, and in my kidneys.
Sure.
And I was way overweight, and I was just not in a good place. And type 2 diabetic, and my blood sugar was just off the charts. And after all that happened in Hawaii, all these things all started finding myself.
Probably started meditating too.
Well, I've always meditated ever since I was a kid.
Okay.
Because that's how I dealt with hyperactivity. Because as I share with some of the moms, I was one of the guinea pigs for Ritalin.
Yeah.
I was on 1,000 milligrams a day, Jesus. 3 in the morning, 3 at noon, and 3 at night.
That's why your hair stands straight up.
My hair stands straight up. Listen, I'm just gonna put it to you this way. My hair stands straight up because of my cosmic energy. Bro.
Amen. I'll take it. I always tease Recob that he looks like one of those anime guys, right when they're about to power up. You know,
There was a dude one time. I was at LAX. I was on my way to a Harmon trip, and I spent, as things are gearing up, and I'm going to try and bring this in because I know we're probably already at the 2-hour mark. Easy.
It's no big deal.
But so the deal is it's one of those things that I am spending 2017. I spent 4.5 months in California.
That's awesome.
And I'm still working for the hand doctor. And I'm wondering what day is it going to be that I'm going to get fired. And I'm still in contact with him and telling him, hey, thank you for this. And I'm still running things for him.
Sure.
From
well, shit, you've been working for him for 10 years, right?
Well, at that point, it was only like 5 at that point.
Still. And so, good employees are hard to find.
And so I'll just never forget. I talked to him when I was back. I said, hey, listen, I want to thank you for being very understanding and very lenient and still keeping me on board.
And Lisa, too. Thank you for...
well, Lisa has always been...
That's a huge key, man.
Well, she has always been... She gets it. She understands it.
Totally.
Her father was a very well-known honky-tonk country musician that took care of his family, that was focused on his family, which is why he didn't go out on the road.
Right.
Now, granted, that's Lisa's story.
Sure.
But at the same time, she understood and got it. She was the daughter of a musician. Right. She understood it. She got it. She recognized it.
And she's also probably a very secure person that's also connected
very much
to the universe.
Well, she is, and she also we also have the beauty of trust between us, because not all married people trust each other.
No.
But we trust each other implicitly.
That's good.
And so it's just one of those things that I told the doctor, I said, I very much appreciate this, and thank you for keeping me on your team. And he looked me dead in the eyes, and he got it too. He understood it. He goes, how can I say no to you following your passions? Yeah. And the thing is he too was a metaphysical dude.
That's awesome.
And very big into the paranormal. Mm-hmm. So we could connect on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And he said, how could I say no to you following your passion, especially as I can sit and watch you create all of this?
That's good.
And the way that everybody in the health community that know me, and it's like in my current situation, not everybody really knows. It's just now, after 3 years, starting to come out that there's things about Patrick. There's an ongoing thing with my partners that I work with. These gals that I work with are awesome, and the way when people say, "Hey," when people say, "Oh, so you're a musician? You're in a band? Where do you play?" They think you're in a 3-2 bar band,
Right? Yeah.
doing Funk
Sure.
49.
Nothing wrong with that.
Doing and doing Freebird and Sweet Home Alabama and all that.
I
stuff.
will never do that.
And so it's just like I have just found it's just easier not to talk about it.
Right.
Which as well gives me a bit of another privatized part of that, to where it's not a part of knowledge. And the ongoing joke is I tell people, well, I'm a has-been rock star.
Oh, you're not.
And when people say, well, what do you mean rock star? Because they automatically see that I'm back working.
Sure.
But the cool thing is, and this is how the universe works again, and administration, if you happen to be watching this.
They will be. They love you.
Oh, but the thing is, even now with the job that I have, I'm still in a position that if I needed to go tour or to go do dates, I can do it.
Yeah. And that's because
it's like today. It's like I can't be there. I'm doing a podcast. Oh, cool. That's cool. I can't be here on such and such down the line because I got to be out of town. They're very supportive of that. But that's I have found, and when we talk about, like when you and Cliff were talking about helping people. Mm-hmm. Okay. My goal and my role in life is to help people consistently. What I tell people is during the day, I can help to heal the body through surgery by assisting the doctors and the nurses and the surgical team, but keeping their. I work in sterile processing. What my role is I sterilize instruments,
right,
and get them ready for the case. And when they do the surgical procedure, it's like when they did your procedure. They had dirty instruments at the end, bloody and body fluid, and they bring them in, and I clean it. I wash them up, clean them up, run them through the washer, put them together, and sterilize them.
Yeah.
Ready for the next case. I tell people that my whole purpose of life is to help heal the body through surgery with my role, to where I can heal the body. I can help people with making them feel good about themselves just by the power of just me being me and surrounding myself with positive people, that they can't help but feel empowered by that.
Yeah.
That heals the mind, and at night I can play music and heal the soul. Mm-hmm. So it's mind, body, and soul.
And it's therapy for you too.
Yeah, well. It is. And it's also giving to humanity hope and encouragement. And I'm just, again, to quote Dust in the Wind, I'm just a drop of water.
Sure.
In an ocean, in a sea.
But you're connected to that entire ocean.
Exactly.
Which is the amazing thing.
And what I hope is that I can lead by example. Mm-hmm. You
do, man. Like, I don't know. I know from personal experience that, I mean, I spent 10 years of my life, ever since I came home from Afghanistan, it was just, I mean, literally I wore a suicide bracelet up until Memorial Day last year, and I took that bracelet off at Knuckleheads after I played taps on my guitar. And it was one of the most transcendental experiences I've ever had. I had to sit down on the drum riser because I was about to fall over. I wasn't drunk or anything like that. I hadn't.
Sure.
It was during the time I'd quit drinking.
Overwhelmed.
Yeah, and it was a super, really emotional deal for me. But the entire thing that changed my life was when I stopped being a victim in my head. And Jan was the one that did that for me. When me and Jan became good friends, it was when he was towards the end of his life, and and I was hanging out with Levittown a lot because I mean I followed around. They're my homeboys.
I
Man.
remember.
Yeah.
Because I was playing.
That's how we met.
Yeah, as I was playing, because Brandon was doing quite a bit with Dustin at that point.
Yep.
And Jack was playing guitar, and that's right. That's when we met.
And me and Jan just really connected. And when I knew Jan for months before I ever knew he was sick. That's just the way Jan was. He didn't put off the vibe that he was dying. You know what I mean? He was always
that man. And I'm going to say this. And those that are watching probably know who Jan is. If not Jan Faircloth, you really
changed my life.
You need to learn who he is. He's a great drummer, and he was a great friend. We were summoned. Well, we weren't summoned. We were invited. Jenny invited us to the house. We knew that Jan was going to leave us.
I remember that day very well.
He was going to leave us, and we were there the night before that he passed away.
And that was
and I got a text. This is how spiritual, okay, this situation is. Jack was texting me back and forth. This was the night. This was
texting me as well.
This was that night.
Yeah.
When he texted me to tell me, he goes, "He's fading, bro. It's time." And we all, of course, naturally, we get into prayer and meditation. And Lisa and I, we really don't meditate together. We feel things together.
Mm-hmm.
And together we were sending good positive vibes to Jan. I get a text from Jack. He's gone, bro, at 11:11. That's my favorite time. That's why Lisa and I chose to be married at 11:11. And I wouldn't be surprised if that morning that we were in the Molokini crater that it wasn't 11:11 when I was under the water for so long. And the light just come on. So there you go.
That's funny, man.
No, no. That's how it is. And so.
Well, let me tell you this thing about Jan before I forget.
So, real quickly.
Yeah, go ahead.
The night before, because Jan wouldn't let anybody know, and he's
here right now, dude. He's
right.
Doing this shit.
Sure he is. Sure he is. He is barely coherent. Eyes are already starting to roll in the back of his head. He's laying on the bed, and we're all going in one by one, very calm, cool, quietly, talking to him, and he goes, "This is Jan. Recob. When's our next gig?"
Yeah.
2 weeks, Jan. It's gonna be on the 22nd.
That's beautiful.
I'll fucking be there.
He was too.
And he was.
Yeah.
But the thing was, is he that's just how he was. And when he couldn't do something, there were several times when he had to bail on our trips. He says, "Recob, I'm too fucking sick. I just can't do it." No problem, dude.
Yeah.
And the universe always had him covered.
Yeah.
And it was either Dwight, who's with the Mighty Phonics now, that I play with up in Des Moines with Malcolm and Matt, and or it was Adam.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so,
you know who was my rhythm section for my first real gig in Kansas City? Adam Hagerman and Jack Garrett.
There you go.
Yeah.
Fletchertown.
You can't. I mean,
it's Fletchertown, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, so tell me.
Yes. So
Jan,
I was still in this thing. I was still drinking pretty heavily too. But when I saw, like, we had this one conversation outside of the scrapyard. We were outside smoking weed. And
was I there that night?
You might have been there.
Was that the night that both Adam and Jan were there, and we had our pictures taken with them and all that stuff?
I think so. I think it was that.
It was
night.
in December.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite pictures that I got of Jan. But I just had this epiphany. It was like, I'm standing here next to this guy that's dying, and he's not playing a victim. He's living his life to the very fullest.
Yeah.
He's not projecting that he's dying. He's like, anytime you were hanging out with Jan, he had a big smile on his face, even when he was in pain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it completely transformed the way I thought about myself, and that, I don't what the fuck am I doing? You know what I mean? Why am I living my life like this? And Jan was the one that got me out of that shit. And he talks to me all the time. All the time.
Talks to me
it's
all the
weird
time
for
too.
me to say this because I've been very I don't know. I had people say that I was using Jan's death to sell records when I made this record and dedicated it to him. You know, it really fucking hurt me. And
they don't understand.
No, I know. And but as I've been going,
forgive them for they know not what they do.
They don't. Yeah. And as I'm going through this last year and a half of this really amazing spiritual transformation, I have fucked up so bad so many times in my past. You know,
well, me too.
Yeah, and the thing is, you can't live there. You can't, and I was living there. I mean, just recently I had one of my friends kill themselves again. You know, we've had 7 from my unit that went to Afghanistan that have taken their own lives. I mean, we went through some hairy shit over there and we all made it.
And that was 30 years ago, bro.
No, that was 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah, 20. Okay. I was there 20.
I'm thinking Desert Storm.
No. This is Afghanistan, Operation Enduring Freedom. And
so it's still fresh.
Yeah. And
well, it's always fresh.
It's all, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that I don't regret doing it at all, and I knew I wasn't going to die when I went there. I knew I wasn't. That's why I did so much crazy shit and got medals. You know what I mean? Because I've got medals. I got 1, but I'm just saying, it's hard to put into words. I mean, the amount, the way that I look at Jan, I don't want to start crying because then I'll have to kick everybody's ass. but it's so important, I think, to realize how special you are as a person, no matter what. Doesn't matter where you came from, where you were born, anything. Right now in this world, it's like we have no problem fighting over a TV, but we won't fight for somebody's dignity as a human being. Like look what happened to that kid in Memphis, who basically died because he was black. Just beat down, and nobody wants. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. That's what I want this podcast to be about. Like, this isn't about Jam Killer or making money. It's about raising the consciousness of the world.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And with my, as a hyperactive kid, and if he happens to be watching this video, man, I just want to tell you, I've met everything that I said to you when we met privately. I was tormented as a hyperactive kid because I was dumb, stupid, said a lot of dumb shit. I still say a lot of dumb shit. I just try to be more regulated about it. And I was picked on. I was beaten on. They beat the shit out of me. I'd get, chased and chastised. And I mean, just really, and at a time when I'm a guinea pig for Ritalin, all the stoners wanted my drugs because they knew that
right.
Where Ritalin would be a downer, it'd be an upper for them.
Right.
And because I had so much, I could feed 6 of my friends.
Right.
And the thing is I was picked on a lot. And for decades, I viewed myself as a victim. When I went and got out of my marriage, the first marriage, I was a victim. Mm-hmm. When I was 7 years in a relationship before that, I was the victim. Everybody has wanted to change me. They have wanted to make me and craft me for their agenda and not give a damn about me or who I am, right, or what I stand for or what I believe in until I met Lisa. But the thing is, I really had a rough time, and music was my true passion.
Yeah.
And I was playing a gig, 1999, at Harrah's Casino in Topeka, at the Prairie Band Casino. And in the back, for our set, I recognized a gentleman that was watching us. And we were adults now. Already at that point, we're in our 40s. I'm almost 60 now, folks. But the thing is,
Got another 60.
I know, right?
Yeah.
No, it'll be infinity because
Oh, you know what
when
I
the
mean. In this
Pleiadians come and
dimension.
take us to ascension, bro.
Yeah, in this
It's,
dimension.
hey, trust me, I've already been given that proclamation. But so the thing is folks are going to go Recob.
We're going to have Recob back again.
No, this should be like, Fletcher, that dude is fucking crazy. Don't believe what he says. He's making it up.
No way. I would not have you on this if I thought you were full of shit.
So I recognized this person. And I recognize him as, if not, one of the chief protagonizers.
Right, your bully.
And he walks up to me on the break and he says, "Hey man, how you doing?" And you know who I'm talking about. If you're watching this, bud, I haven't forgot and everything's cool. And again, just like I told you that
the
night,
power of forgiveness, cool. Man.
So he goes, "I watched you play. You guys are really good." I said, "Man, thank you." I said, "It's really good to see you." I was just happy to see him. And I'd followed a little bit, and he's had quite some success. And so he looks at me and he goes, "Do you mean that?" I say, "Yeah, man, I mean that a lot. I mean that with my heart and my soul." He goes, "That brings great peace to me because I have to share with you that my wife and I had a child, and my child's pretty hyperactive. And there have been a few times where I felt myself clench my fist. And I've raised my fist to hit him. And I see your face." And I said, "Well," I said, take what I'm saying to you. And when I'm serious with people, I'll tell them, listen to the tone of my voice.
Right.
And my voice should tell you if I'm serious or not.
Yeah. You bet.
And I said, be at peace with that shit, man, because carrying that forever it's not a good thing.
It can make you sick.
Yeah. And and there was a great release, and ironic as it is now we've had social media interaction, and he had a really off camera, I'll share, but had an experience in the entertainment business that happened that people go, "Oh, motherfucker."
Right.
And I mean, it was that profound. And so the thing is it really, it was a great, not only emancipating moment for him, but for me.
Yeah.
Because I was able to release all of that, all at that
yeah.
moment. And it was the same when I started learning about forgiveness, being mindful and forgiveness, and forgiving all the people that had, in my view, had done me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I came to the realization and the recognition that they're not to blame.
Right.
You're
the one holding on to all that shit.
100% to blame because I allowed.
Sure.
That's the key word. I allowed that to be. And I've been learning and teaching myself about the narcissists and the
mm-hmm.
The different levels of narcissism,
sure.
from our dear friends that you know who I'm talking
sure.
about, Angela and Adam, and pertaining that to my life and recognizing and seeing that, and forgiveness is not an easy thing.
Fuck no.
And I found myself, okay, I've forgiven these people for this, but then trigger points will come back.
Yes.
And that's what I've been having to deal with lately.
Yeah.
Is pinpointing, for a while I was doing good with my anxiety and I've been, can't do pharma. I will not get put on antidepressants. I can't do Xanax.
Don't do that shit.
So
Microdose, man.
melatonin, and a little hit of CBD every now and then.
I'm telling you
great.
what, dude. A little
Low doses of
microdosing.
melatonin really have helped me. And so it's just one of those things that it's just kind of, when you recognize and realize that you are in charge, and it's just kind of, I had a very serious experience recently when you try to clear all the inner bullshit and bring to the surface to where the peace, the inner peace is attainable.
Yeah, totally.
But on occasion, the best way that I can surmise it to is like being in a swimming pool, and you're in the clear chlorinated water and everything's cool, and all of a sudden some bullshit and some sludge will come up from the hole down in the bottom, and then you got to clean all that shit out.
Yeah.
And so it's just one of those things that you got to deal with it at that moment.
Sure.
And so recently I've been trying to find what my trigger points are, because I have found that driving alone in the car is the best time for me to let out my aggression, and then I recognize and realize, oh, wait a second. I'm supposed to be this man of peace, and this guy that's you're being full of shit, Recob.
Right.
You're being a pussy, and I say that because Fletcher knows that that's what Jan would say.
Dio's telling you you're not a pussy.
Yeah, and so the thing is it's just kind of when you recognize and you let that go. It's amazing how emancipating that is, but it still comes back to harm. You just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I've had to do that a lot lately, because I too have PTSD from certain things, and that was always, PTSD. It's never an easy thing, I
think the whole world has PTSD from a giant cataclysm that happened at the end of the Younger Dryas.
Yeah, exactly. It was like with my father, before PTSD was really diagnosed.
Yeah.
He had the near-death experience that lasted several days. And when he was in Vietnam, when he came back, my mother was told at a very young age that whoever would marry and be this man's family would really have a heavy road to toe. That very lots of understanding. My father would wake up in the middle of the night in a firefight.
Yeah. I've split my lip open. My bottom lip. You can kind of tell now, but it's been split open twice. Because when the first years of me being back, I used to have really bad nightmares, and the nightmare was this kid. Because at one time we were rolling through a village, and I hear over the net, holy shit, check out, 9 o'clock, and I turned down while we're driving through. It's this kid, maybe, I don't know, 6, 7 years old, and in the wheelbarrow that he's pushing is his dead little brother or sister or something, and so when I came home, when you're over there, you have to disconnect your heart. If your heart,
that's what he said. I'd asked him. There was one night, in addition to the time that he shared in depth his NDE, he was sick, and he knew that he still had a couple years, but the Agent Orange had gotten into his system.
Yeah,
that's what the Viet Cong wanted. Was if they weren't going to get you immediately, they wanted to just. Sure. It was gonna. Yeah. And that's just what happened.
Dude, those guys were ruthless, man. They would stick a sword in just above your anus at the bottom of your back, down and then back up out the outside and leave you like that. That's some crazy shit.
Yeah, and so he would. I asked him, I asked him, and it was the strangest thing, Fletch. I said, tell me something. His big thing was he didn't know when, but when he was in Korea, okay, part of the injuries that he had is it took a lung and a half out. And he was a 3-pack a day smoker up until my 8th birthday.
Yeah.
And he was just he could be a very high strong dude.
Yeah.
And we didn't get whippings. We got the lecture.
Yeah.
Because that's what first sergeants do.
Fucking A. I still
never got
talk
the
to my
push-up
first
position
sergeant
or
all
stand-
the time.
Yeah, I never got the push-up position, and I never got but you rolled your eyes at him, you added 5 minutes to the lecture. And he knew how to talk, and the guy could talk. Yeah, he'd probably give Big Joe Turner a run for his money, because that man had where Big Joe would sing in the auditorium without a microphone and people could hear him.
Yeah.
My dad was the same way. Yeah. He was a great orator.
See, my dad,
my
dad didn't say anything. He just came in and beat the shit out of you.
No, I somehow was spared several serious thrashings.
Yeah.
And I asked him this one particular night. His concern was that I'm afraid that I'm not going to be allowed into heaven because of all the people that I killed.
Right.
And I said, "What do you mean by that?" He goes, "You know what I mean by that."
It's war, man.
In wartime, and I'm already a sick man, and I'm afraid that I'm not going to be allowed to enter. And I said, "What did you do when you would go in?" I said, "Did you get a thrill out of killing people? Did you not get a thrill out of killing people?" And I had this vision. It was my ESP or my vision at that time.
Yeah, I see things in images too.
Yeah, and I had an image. I saw him immediately when he had the gun in his hand and he's ready to go strike and do what he had to do. He'd go somewhere. His soul or his spirit would go somewhere, and then he would just be a driving machine.
Sure.
And I asked him. I said, "Do you get pleasure from that?" And he goes, "No. I did what I had to do. I did what I was told.
Right.
And I just went somewhere else." And I said, "I think that they're going to let you in because you got no enjoyment from that."
Yeah,
and it was amazing because it's true. He did, because
he's 11 Bravo.
I've seen him.
He's 11 Bravo. There's no way he didn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
Not in Korea. 11 Bravo. Anyway, war, period, fucking sucks, and we shouldn't be doing it.
No.
It should not be happening. One thing I am glad about aliens is that they're not going to allow nuclear war to happen. If you go and watch some of the stuff,
aliens, you talking like from
real fucking border? Aliens? No, I'm talking about from. There's like supposedly there's around 6 different civilizations that live in our fucking solar system. Bro. Not our solar system, our galaxy, in the Milky Way galaxy.
There's actually 9 of the Federation. It's
the Galactic Federation.
Yep, that's it, yeah.
Well, I am not that free yet to. You see how analytical I am, man. I take things and I think.
If I can reach Jan Faircloth and explain the universe to Jan after he had just told me that I don't buy. I don't buy the Christianity.
Yeah,
and
we had conversations like that.
And I explained to him, I said, "Okay, Jan," and I feel the need to have to say this, okay, because I feel that we may be starting to wrap towards heading, and we can get into the religion, but this Paramahansa Yogananda. I've got a great lecture that was recorded where he's explaining this.
Ram Dass is another good one too.
Oh yeah. But for me, my jam is Yogananda, and because that's my soul connection. So Yogananda's telling this story as to he's on a train journey across the United States, and he's on his way from New York, or in the East Coast, where he was for a while, and then he went out to California, which is where he founded his Self-Realization Fellowship, which basically Self-Realization Fellowship is for you to understand and to know where the universe, how the universe works. If you're a religious person, that's fine, because it's the same elements.
Sure.
It's just that people get
The absolute truth thing is what fucks them up.
They put their own twist on what they think should be done.
That's why there's 48,000 different sects of Christianity.
Exactly. And so the thing is, self-realization fellowship is to take all the information. If you're a Christian, that's fine. If you're a Hindu, a Buddhist, whatever, that's fine. Even agnostic. Mm-hmm. Because I have found that in most agnostic people, especially those that say, I'm an atheist, I believe in nothing. Mm-hmm. I can always get some
That's belief in something.
That's the belief in something. and I have always found, I have found more atheists to be agnostic because they are looking for a source.
Sure. Everyone
is.
What
Yogananda's talking about is he's riding in the coach with a doctor. I think it was actually two doctors. And I think they were two surgeons, a psychologist, and him.
Sounds like a good joke.
Almost. And they're talking about God, and they recognized, and he goes, imagine me. There are these well-dressed businessmen. It's 1927, 1930, whatever. I'm sorry. I'm off on my date, so all the Yogananda fans cut me some slack. So he's talking about. He goes,
if they're real Yogananda
here
fans.
They are. They're in these business suits, and here I am. I almost look feminine, long black hair, orange robe all the way down to my feet, and dress shoes. I must look like a circus freak. And definitely a wise man from the East is the way that they were talking to me. And he says, the doctor says, they call him some holy Swami. He was going by Swami at that point. Swami, I don't believe in God. And I'll tell you why I don't believe in God. As a surgeon, I can slice the body open, and I can see all the veins and the blood and all of that can be explained. I can
the material.
I can see the tendons and the muscles, and I can explain how to fix this and how to fix that. And then the psychologist gets into it, and he starts talking about all the different you put your mind to this, you could put your mind to that. The mind can go nuts. The mind can be sane, insane. And you can just see whatever you want to see and believe whatever you want to believe. And then it's kind of like, as they're talking, it's kind of like somebody said, and my broker is E.F. Hutton, and E.F. Hutton says, everything goes silent, and they turn towards Yogananda, right? And they said, so what do you have to say about this? And Yogananda says, okay, here's my question to both of you. I hear what you say about the mind. I hear what you say about the body. Yes, I have, absolutely. I completely agree. But can either of you tell me where the power source comes from?
Right.
And
well, part of the reason part of the reason all that happened.
That right there.
Sure.
The power source is the source that we're all connected to.
And what's happening now is science is finally realizing, because what happened was the church said anything material, right? We're not dealing with that. Anything that's of the spirit is ours. Don't touch it. So that's where science went. Everything is materialistic. There's no right. But now, through new technologies and new things, now they can see, holy shit, there are chakras. Wow, they do emit a frequency, and it has a color, just like the ancients say.
Align them?
Dude, I do it in my mind.
Good.
You know,
that's how you do it.
Yeah, or with a pendulum. You know, and
see, here's the thing. I was very strong on pendulums for a long time. But I've also come to the real, very rarely do I use the pendulum. I mean, dude, I was so I was so hooked. I still have my pendulum. I've only used it once and twice in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
But there was a time when I used it all the time. But when I started recognizing and realizing that I do have the ability
In
and
you.
the power to manifest my desires through electrical current.
Yep.
I started to recognize and realize that there's a possibility that my energy and my current is making that pendulum give me the answer that I want.
Sure, of course.
And
yes.
so I just decided it's just better if I put it down.
Right.
And I just go off of my intuition and my feeling.
The way I look at the pendulum is for somebody that's just getting into it, it's a cool confirmational
It's beautiful.
tool. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a cool way to see that.
But it's kind of, there's a time for graduation.
Sure. Like the Apostle Paul said, I don't want the milk for the babes. I want the meat. Right?
Well, it's like losing the baba and the binky after a while for a kid.
Well, that's what this is for me. It's my binky.
Well,
because I quit smoking. So, but
willpower, brother. Willpower.
Yeah, I think.
Don't preach to me, Recob.
I think some of it is it's just a nurturing thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's all comfort.
Yes, exactly. I am also a very high-strung person. I've never been diagnosed. Are? Yeah, I have been.
I'm fucking with you.
I know you are.
I just want to look here. Let's see what's going on.
But I believe everybody's got the, just like there's good things in the Bible, but you have to realize that book has been so mangled and rewritten and if you want to find real shit about Jesus, I still have a hard time believing in this historical Jesus that they portray, because if you go back and you study a lot about the Romans, I mean, they pretty much invented a guy that says pay your taxes and don't fight the militant. Jesus was a militant Jew. Why were they walking around with swords in the first place? You know what I'm saying? If they're this high, anyway, this is a whole nother.
Hey man, he was under some heat.
Yeah, I know. Well, he didn't carry a sword.
No, but he was under heat, and but the thing is.
I think it's a spirit. I think it's a spirit. The Christ, Krishna, Buddha. It's an alignment thing. That's kind of where I'm at.
Well, how I've known it, and well, this is the part that it can really go into heavy debate. But
that's all right. Nothing wrong with a little pushback.
Well, the thing is see, the thing is, I've seen Christ.
Yeah. I've seen him too, with my friend. On
several occasions. I've seen Krishna on several occasions. I've seen the deities on occasion. And it's
and Yeke and Anil, did you see them?
Say what?
What Anil and Yeke, I think was his name.
And who?
and Yeke, the Numa Lish.
Okay.
Back in Samaria and all that shit. And it's like Billy Carson. Do you ever watch any of his shit?
No.
Well, he studied the Enuma Lish, and basically they're alien gods, right? And Enlil and Enyeke. I know.
Look at. I'm gonna
check them out.
My buddies in the Anunnaki to come on.
That's
here,
what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
All right.
Yeah. So same kind of thing.
They're with us right now.
Yeah. Well, they were kind of fucking not good.
No.
And Enlil, the Enlil brother, was anyway. It's cool stuff to go check out.
It's no different than Shiva and Brahma.
Sure. Or Isis and
you have the
Thoth.
Hey man, I've kind of been kicking around with Zeitgeist a little bit.
Oh yeah, Zeitgeist. They need to figure out how to make their videos better though.
Yeah, they do, and I see that there's several different. But the thing is, is it's all about what makes you comfortable. And for me,
Yes,
I'm
yes.
open.
But
I'm open to all, and
that's the key, though,
I'm
right there.
open.
You can be a Christian, but if you're going to be a Christian and going to tell people that they're wrong and they're going to hell, you're not being a Christian.
But if I grew up, I grew up. Um, there has never been a time in my life that I have not known Jesus.
Yeah.
And if I'm Jesus is a great teacher.
Yeah.
And
and he believed in reincarnation. Actually, if you go read some of the Gnostic Gospels,
there's information that I know how to direct you to of the secret lives of Jesus. And what I mean by that is, he was born, and most of the world just knows him in that final phase of his life. Yeah. The 30 from age 32 and 33.
Yep.
And I've shared with you, what I've been.
Dude, I talked to him for 25 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is the thing that's going on in my head. It's like, I guess I kind of just threw everything out when I figured out that it was all bullshit. Like what I had been told.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I was just like, I'm throwing this all out when I had this experience. And I had this experience when I wrote This Wasted Life. It just came out. It was one morning. I was getting up. I felt like something was going on. And I was like, I needed to get my guitar. And I went to grab my electric guitar. And it was like, no, grab your acoustic. I grabbed my acoustic guitar. I sit down in front of my computer. And this song comes out. And I'm bawling most of the time that it's happening. And this experience is what really started me on this whole path, and it started kind of bashing Christianity, and I apologize for that.
No, you reacted as to how you needed to react.
Yeah, and I got a lot of hateful shit said to me, and it's whatever. Forgive them, right? They know not what they do.
You're releasing it.
Yeah, it's all good.
We all see it.
Yeah. So, but I don't want to be the person that is not open to the truth, and I think the truth is not subjective. I think we see slivers of truth in everything. You know what I mean? And until we really pursue that sliver, I don't think we find much.
Well,
do you know what? Does that make sense?
I do, and I'm going to say this, and maybe it can kind of wrap some loose ends up. But the one thing I believe in the teachings.
Me too.
Of Jesus.
Yeah, me too.
Wholeheartedly. And if he was a rock star, he would be my top dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
But I also find enlightening teachings from Krishna.
Yeah.
And from Buddha.
Yeah.
And
from Egypt, from the wisdom,
and there's so many other students / teachers out there, but I feel confident with that, and I do feel in the universe that Christ consciousness,
yes,
and that
I think so too.
Krishna consciousness. However you look at it, and however way, and when I say you, I'm the viewer.
Yeah.
You
beautiful people out there,
all the happy people.
Yeah. Thank you for watching.
But it's just one of those things that I've been able to get great peace because I've been in situations where I've it's manifested in the 3D world for me to see it. I don't believe at all that God, okay, if we're going to talk as Christians, because I know that this has been your big talking point, I do not believe for 1 second that God, the universe, Christ, or any that consciousness
Yeah. Beautiful teachers.
allows would ever want anyone to kill someone
Right.
in
their name.
Hello. And
That's the real definition of
it's the
taking God's name in
same-
vain.
It's the same with my Pleiadian brothers and sisters and their friends and our other members of our Galactic Federation would want us for 1 second to believe that they're hostile.
They're not.
They are not hostile.
No.
We
are hostile.
are the hostile.
There's literally video that you can get from NASA
Oh, I know all
that
about,
shows a craft coming in,
I've
and then
seen
a
it.
shot gets fired
Oh yeah.
from the Earth, and it zips this way, and another shot goes at it. So we're shooting at these.
Oh, well, I don't know if you know or not, but very recently
They're releasing shit.
has been leaking information and has
Pictures.
and pictures. Very recently, they were talking about. Well, now it's the unidentified
UAPs, aerial phenomenon.
Aerial.
Well, because they're not really flying in our
No,
with the way we think of
but
physics.
It's not UFO because, as we know,
they know
some
what
of
they
that stuff
are.
is man-made.
We have them in warehouses and facilities all over the country.
Yeah, and so, but the thing is, they too. I don't think the plan is to allow total annihilation. No. But I was sitting at my day gig, and there was a report that some craft had been seen over the Kansas City skies, over Penn Valley Park.
I hope so, because I've been asking them to show up.
Well, I've invited them, and they've shown up. They won't leave. They're like freaking squatters, and they're there always. I see them every day.
Are you a David Wilcock fan?
No.
Okay.
Stephen Greer is where I've been getting a lot of my stuff, and the CE5
yeah,
stuff.
Steve.
But the thing is that was long. I had experiences long before that.
See, well, I was told that's all demonic. That's how I grew up.
Well, of course it is. And the thing is it sounds to me that you and I have been seeing a lot of the same programming.
Yeah, that's why I tag you in some of my shit.
I know. Acknowledge, CE5, first contact, all of that stuff.
Fuck yeah.
And but the thing is, as you know, and you touched on it, they will not allow the atomic and the nuclear things to go off. They will disarm it before.
There was an incident.
But the thing is, I know this.
Literally shot at it. Went around, shot beams of light at it, and then took off. And because they were going to detonate it in space. That was the point of that missile. They will not allow any detonations in space. Every rocket that they fire into space to try a detonation.
Because already the atomic age that they did at Hiroshima and Nagasaki
That's why
and what
concentration.
They've been doing in White Sands has already
been there.
It's knocked the vibration of the deal of the cosmos out,
dude.
But the thing is where I was talking about with NASA is NASA has been leaking out a few things that they shouldn't have, which is a whole big ball of worms to some people, and sometimes even in my own
military
household,
industrial complex.
Well, the thing is, NASA made a comment that on the International Space Station, a big object has docked.
Right. They have shit where they won't release the actual radio communications, but they'll release the transcripts. And in the transcripts of their communication, constantly from every mission we've ever fucking sent up there, they see them. Neil Armstrong says like they just did their work and they were just always there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The whole time.
Oh yeah. And apparently they've been finding bases. There's bases.
Yeah, there's bases on the moon. Yeah.
But the thing is
come on, Elon, help us out, bro.
No, man, you need to check out on Tubi. You need to check out the dude, the flat earther that built his own rocket.
Oh no, I saw that.
I saw that the other night, man. And this dude was so. You watching Tubi?
Not as much, dude. YouTube. I'm on YouTube and Gaia. I have a Gaia subscription.
Yeah, well, it's great. Okay, well that's cool but Tubi's got really good. It's got really good stuff too. But the thing is you know. We'll save.
You're gonna be a guest a lot, Pat.
We'll save. We will save one of my my Pleiadian experiences for the next one.
Cool. Yeah, man. And I think this podcast is probably eventually going to start happening more than once a month. It's just right now, I'll
be a weekly guest.
Yeah, I can't. I'm a one man dude, and I'm trying to do
off
as much
the record
as I can.
with Recob. Hey, we got a behind the scenes with Recob.
Fuck yeah, man.
like Joe Rogan or something.
Yeah,
like that. You get the extra 30 minutes that weren't shown.
You know, I really hope that this helps people to start thinking about things differently.
So, me too. And one thing that we'll save this for the next time too, because I'm sure if you know all this other stuff, which just kind of dangle out a little. Here,
we haven't even got to the
dangle out. We haven't even broke out the brownies yet.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, we didn't.
No, but the thing is, NASA recently. Now, whether you know about it or you don't, I got a feeling you're at least aware of it. Is the hole openings at the North Pole and the South Pole,
right?
That go inward.
Mm-hmm. There's giant caverns the size of Philadelphia.
Well, but that's a whole other.
Yeah.
You know,
when they landed on the moon, they said it rung like a bell.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing is, NASA, the North Pole, at the very top line of the North Pole, planes are not allowed to fly over it, and they're directed around it, so nobody sees the top where the globe where the hole is that Admiral Byrd went into both ends.
Yep.
And we won't even get into the conspiracy theorists of.
There's tons of shit in Antarctica. Dude.
Yeah, but the thing is
where they landed
is when they showed that. It just kind of here we are. We're at the top of the world. Nobody ever gets to see this, and there's a hurricane happening up at the top of the Earth because the clouds are that way. Well, that's the way that it's supposed to be because it's Aurora Borealis and all that stuff. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. So that's a whole other story.
Yeah, or what about the top of Jupiter? Right? It's a pentagram. Not a pentagram, a pentagon. Like it's literally the shape of a pentagon. It never changes.
No.
What the fuck is that?
I don't know.
Yeah, right?
Well, it was just like the
monolith on the moon of Mars.
Yeah, exactly. I was just getting ready to say that they found an actual city.
Oh, yeah. Dude, Mars still has life on it. There's pictures where you see shit moving and then it's not in the frame again.
Well, the thing that what most people can't also understand is the duality of parallel universes.
Mm-hmm. String theory, all that shit.
You know?
Yeah.
When they were talking about the Greys coming and abducting all, people taking their DNA and all, what a lot of people didn't know or don't, well, some do, most do, especially if you're a ET enthusiast, is that they were coming to get DNA so they can repopulate their planet.
Right.
And their planet was basically a dual parallel universe to where we are right now.
Or like the city on Mars, where after they released it, they totally shot the thing from a different angle with the Jupiter so it doesn't look like a city. But the original image, there's a pyramid, a 5-sided pyramid.
Oh, that's right, the pyramids.
Literally show if you could put the Diluvian, or what is the famous Da Vinci man?
Oh, I just saw that yesterday.
Yeah, you could literally
That's
superimpose
the
that.
hoax. You're talking about the cosmic hoax.
Yeah,
Greer was in that.
Yeah.
That was his thing. I just saw that yesterday, bro.
There's
I just watched that
entire
yesterday. Yeah.
city.
Yeah.
They call them the ancient builder race or something like that. There's shit all over the galaxy. This stuff is pretty hardcore stuff and pretty mind. It can be devastating. It really can. If you're a super hard Christian and you believe the letter and you realize that there's other life, like the world is so much older than 6,000 years and humanity has been documented. Humans have been here. We have evidence 250,000 years ago.
All I have to say about that, again, it's however you want to perceive it. Choose to
it's either
explore.
love or hate.
No, I don't think it's love or hate. I think it's just not being.
It is though with some of those Christians because
some of them
because God will hate it in their minds, so they will hate it.
Well, it's just the same thing as for those that have problems and they try to cope with their situation, and they throw themselves into their religion to help them tell them it's okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've had this. It's deep, man. It's deep well, and you need to have your wits about you if you're gonna start going down the rabbit hole because it could really fuck you up.
I don't think that it's. I think just having an open mind.
Right. That's what I'm trying to mean.
Have an open mind, because sometimes what is isn't, and what isn't is. That's the duality of Maya.
As above, so below.
But that's funny that you were just watching that cosmic hoax. I just saw that yesterday.
Yeah.
I just stumbled on it.
Well, actually, I was watching. What was that on? It was some ancient alien episode that I was watching, but it's the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Greer, he's got so much stuff. Dr. Greer, he came in to brief the CIA director in the Clinton administration because they were not getting the right answers. They weren't getting answers that they were asking for from the military and those in charge, right?
Yeah.
How fucked up is that, right?
Well, it's because the government knows, and those deeper organizations know, and it started with Eisenhower that they basically
they run shit.
They basically cut out the president altogether.
Yeah. Was it like the Defense Department can't account for $2.7 trillion that goes into these black programs? It's all UFO shit.
Well, the thing is the same with all the other presidents, and even all the way to to Trump and Pence. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm 100% on board with all of that. I'll just keep my opinion. I take the
fuck Trump.
Hey man, listen.
I'll say it.
Listen, I take the Elvis Presley. I take the Elvis Presley stance. Elvis was a massive Republican, okay, but still,
nothing wrong with being
in
a
Republican.
world,
but no, it's not. They need love too.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. No. The thing is, even Trump and Pence, they were kept so much in the dark, and so was Obama.
Yep.
So
was Clinton.
Yeah. But the thing is they've just kind of. We're now at a point because first contact is coming soon.
Well, that's shit, man.
No. What I mean by first contact,
consciousness contact.
No,
for everyone.
What I mean by first contact with the ETs and all is basically like the scene in Independence Day when they walk outside and the sky is filled with nothing but those craft.
Right.
But the thing is the government, even now, there's still certain people in the government that are heading these programs that want to throw fear into the public that war we're going to be attacked. We need to attack. Yeah. They are here to take us out. They are not, which is the farthest from the truth.
We would be gone. We'd be dead already.
Well, you know because we've already touched base on it. They might not, the audience might not completely have got it. Some may have, but the thing is when you're talking about, they have the power to detonate or
shut down.
Shut down. Yeah, to shut down all of that.
Everything. Yep.
And
there's documented cases of them doing it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Recent.
But
anyway,
that's given me a lot of peace actually lately, because the whole thing with Putin and all that shit,
but with Ascension, it's got to get worse before it gets better, because it's just one day it's just not going to be there.
Yeah, I think we can make it happen quicker if we want to. If the world became, like there was a study done in Washington D.C. with 60 transcendental meditators, and their task was to bring down the crime rate in Washington D.C. just by meditating. This is what the experiment was. While they did it, the crime rate in D.C. dropped 25 to 30%. Just meditating to bring down the crime rate.
Yeah, man.
When they stopped, it went right back up. Yeah. So we have the power to make shit happen.
Did you know, just a little bit of music trivia, when the Beatles played the Ed Sullivan Show, for that hour that the Beatles were on the Ed Sullivan Show, they didn't have one single call for crime in the city of New York City.
Because they were all watching it?
For that 1 hour. Because everybody was watching.
That's fucking great.
These Liverpudlians.
The Beatles are cool. I've never been a huge Beatle fan, but I appreciate their hard work. They're a very great example. Do you know how many songs they wrote before they had their first hit?
All of them?
Yeah, pretty much. They've written... I don't know. It's kind of, I equate Billy Ebling to one of the Beatles, kind of, because he's constantly writing. You know what I mean? I don't know how he does. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he's.
I mean, I know we could easily talk another hour, but there's just so much information and so many things that we both, that interest us, and you have to be, open-minded, because I know that with just a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about, it's just one of those things that people could think we're nuts,
and that's fine. And
and big conspiracy theorists, but I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not either. I think the universe has got it under control. Doesn't matter what man does, the universe is going to fix it.
The most important thing that I think that is most important is however way you try to find inner peace, whether it's through religion, spirituality, music, if you can bring somewhat of a peaceful mindfulness, that's what's important.
Yeah.
Because we are so full of anxiety, and we are so full of
shit.
Fear.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I mean, one moment I'll find myself going, "Oh man, everything's cool," and next month, "Oh my god,
what am I gonna do?"
Yeah. Sorry, Dio. But anyway, so it's just I know, right? Oh, you gonna bring me the ball now? All right.
I love you, dude. I thank you so much for
too,
coming
man.
and doing this, man. And we're gonna have you back for sure. This is just a cool thing that's happening in my life, and believe me, I never thought any of this shit was gonna happen. You told me 5 years of me
following it.
I'm going to, and I think we're partners in this, man. So.
I do too. And as you fall asleep tonight, and you're thinking about what we talked about, just let this resonate before you close your eyes. And the world will be as one.
Amen. All right. Thank you guys for watching Musician Metaphysics, episode 2, with the one, the only, Mr. Patrick Recob. We love you. Dio loves you. Don't you, Dio? Well, he loves his ball. Have a good one, guys.
Oh?